Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I'm your host Sean Garmer. Here with me today of the Nerdic Gods. We got Daniel Navaroli. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on? You actually said my name right. A lot of people can't say my last name for some reason.
I forgot to ask you before we started, and I was like, I'm gonna just hope for the best here.
You
So,
did it. You got it. Yeah.
okay, that's good. Thank you so much for being on, Daniel. I mean, how things been going?
It's been going. Very busy. I'm a very
Yeah,
busy boy, but yeah, it's going. Games are going. Like everything's going. Movies are going. TV shows are going. Music's going. I don't know. There's a lot happening.
you got everything
Yeah.
going. I mean, you're I always know that you're awake because you post the video of the day in Tucker's Discord,
Yes. Yeah. Song
the
of the day.
backlog Discord.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, man, there's a lot, and there's a lot going on in gaming, and we got breaking news basically because
This morning.
a whole thing that was supposed to basically happen last week just decided to happen this morning. Like you said, the Activision Xbox whole merger thing has basically taken a whole step forward. Now, the FTC lost their injunction. Now the CMA even almost immediately was like, "Oh, we're going to try to hash this out. We're going to figure it out." And Xbox might already have some kind of deal in place with them as to what they're going to do. We don't exactly know what it is, but there's rumors. We're going to talk about that. We did have a topic. We're still going to do it. The best games of 2023 so far. We're both going to talk about like our games that we played that we think are our top five right now. Games we haven't played yet, we want to, and then some games we're still looking forward to. And then of course there's other stuff. Square-Enix is interested all of a sudden in remastering more games after guess what? One of their remasters sells well. Capcom's been doing that thing for a while. They're still considering doing that more, and there's a lot more things to discuss as well aside from that. So we'll get into all that and more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
And well, so just so we can get this out of the way, I got to do some housekeeping. Even though I'm technically not paying, I'm paying bills myself. This is not paying any bills for me. But either way, maybe one day it will work. Thank you so much again, Daniel, for being on. You can check out the Nerdic Gods podcast on YouTube. You search Nerdic Gods; it'll show up right there for you. Hit subscribe, follow, like, all that. Ring that bell so that anytime they do a show, which they do it weekly, you can go check it out. They also do it on podcasts. If you're like me, you like to listen to things with your ears still. You can also catch us on podcasts. So Video Games to the Max. Remember, we don't have the W2 Network feed anymore. So it's been a while, but I like to remind everybody, just go search Video Games to the Max. You'll find us. Hit subscribe. Anytime we do an episode, it is there. And then, of course, also on the YouTube channel, W2 Network, go find us there. Like, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. So every time we do a show, it is there for you to get. And also remember, we don't just do this here. There's the Rattlesher Broadcasting folks that they do all the entertainment stuff. So anytime there's a big movie review, the movie of the week, it's being reviewed by them. Now they're moving to Mondays pretty soon. So probably like right after, I usually do this show on Monday nights. So usually like right after me, they'll be there doing that. So I can't remember I'm sure the Mission Impossible review, Dead Reckoning, will be there pretty soon here for you
Gotta
guys to
watch
check
that.
that out. Yeah, I'm excited about checking that one out too. And then you got the Barbie movie coming, Oppenheimer, all
Yeah.
that. There's everything. I thought I was gonna miss that, and then my daughter was like, "Oh no, I kind of want to see that." I was like,
She
"Okay,
wants to see Barbie, of
well,
course.
yeah." So, she never played with a Barbie doll really that much, but the movie's catching fire with marketing. So when things become popular with the kids, it's you got to go watch it. But that being said, let's go ahead and get into this. I guess let's start with the breaking news here
Okay.
because might as well start there. I'm sure there's some folks that maybe haven't heard at this point, or you do because it's been blasting everywhere that the FTC has lost their injunction. Judge Corley ruled actually, you know what I appreciate about Judge Corley? She has a sense of humor, and she has been showing that throughout this trial. and like it's actually like really funny that she keeps saying things that like we have been saying that for a long time, but you know, we didn't think that in the courts they would say that. And
Yeah, she kind of
then
smacked the FTC down a few times.
exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, because I think a lot of people can see through what the FTC are trying to do. I don't want to get into the political ramifications of it, but it's weird because it's a Democrat judge ruling against a Democrat FTC. So that's weird in a way too. But that being said, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserves scrutiny. That scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft is committed in writing the public and the court to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. Made an agreement with Nintendo for Call of Duty on Switch. It's put them on, various cloud services. The court's responsibility in this case is narrow. It's to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, and the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC administrative action. For the reasons explained, the court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim to block the particular vertical merger, and this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. She also says in a different quote, but this is the reason it's been denied. The record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. And they tried to make it about not Call of Duty, but the judge herself was like, would we even be here if it wasn't about Call of Duty? So, I just love that the judge has such a humor. But either way, she does also point out that because the FTC made it very obvious that they were going off of Jim Ryan's statements in favor of PlayStation, obviously, this didn't help them at all. And it didn't ever show that it lessens competition. In fact, they basically made it seem like all we're doing is trying to protect Sony in this case, which that's sort of like the CMA was also doing. And it was disproven here. The CMA has also come out and said that they are going to stop trying to have this CAT tribunal, and they're actually going to try to work it out with Microsoft. Microsoft has in turn also said they're going to try to do what they can to work it out. And Satya Nadella also went on TV and talked about that there's supposedly going to be some kind of small divestiture that they're making in order to make that deal with the CMA work, because of course they want all this stuff to go through and not have to go through any more litigation, because they literally have a week. If they don't close it within a week, Activision gets $3 billion, or they have to renegotiate. And I don't. That's Bobby Kotick already said he was going to walk if that happened. So, it looks like all things are moving forward, Daniel, right now. So I don't think we need to talk about anymore about if it's going to happen or whatever. Both of us have also been on record on both of our shows of talking about we thought it was going to go through anyway. But now that it feels like, okay, this is going to happen, do you feel like what is your feeling of this, like as the industry itself? And then do you feel like this is going to cause some kind of chain reaction where more acquisitions are going to happen? Or is this going to maybe cause people to have to kind of do a second look and go, oh, maybe we need to go a little bit smaller with these acquisitions?
I think the chain reaction already started. I think that this is actually the climax of it. I think that we have seen even just not even acquisitions. We've seen just investments throughout the industry for years now, especially with big companies like Tencent. They've invested in almost everyone, and I think that we're probably going to see more investments and more acquisitions. But I think that it is climaxed here with. This is the biggest deal in video games. So, yeah, I think with that, I think that we will definitely see more. I don't necessarily think that Sony is really going to buy anything massive. I know that a lot of people speculate that, they might try to respond. Maybe they'll try to buy someone like a Square-Enix. I don't really think that that's the case, personally. I think if anything were to happen, I think we would just see more Japan themselves maybe kind of start connecting themselves. I think maybe you get like a Koei, Tecmo, and Bandai Namco coming together themselves, not necessarily PlayStation. I think you probably do something like that. But I think Sony will buy things. They'll just be developers.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because it feels like that whole immediately the reaction was, okay, what's Sony going to do now, right? Sony's got to buy somebody. There's publishers that are there for just about 5 billion or less. Go after them, and it's like it's nice when you're telling somebody how to spend their money, right? It's their money at the end of the day. Have they thought about that? Sure. Have they talked about that they have tried to invest more in possible acquisitions or whatever? They did that already. They bought Bungie, who is now basically like their head of live service stuff. They bought studios to basically make live service games for them. That's the direction that they're kind of headed, as Jim Ryan is trying to like pivot to. We're gonna try to find our cash cow that can help us continue to make these single player games that everybody loves. Because hey, we found out that through this whole trial, we found out the Horizon and Last of Us cost like over 20 million to make, or 200 million. Like, think about that. That's movie budgets right there for a game.
That's like Marvel budgets.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about like I remember hearing when 100 million was like, oh, the max, right? And like now we're at 100 million more, and who knows, like we're talking about how quickly it's going to take to get to. We don't know. I mean, maybe Call of Duty costs probably just as much, right?
I mean, marketing alone for Call of Duty is insane, probably.
And all the deals that they make to have all the skins and all that stuff too on the side. So that is why this deal was a big problem at first, because it's like, oh, Call of Duty, could Xbox make it exclusive, all that kind of stuff. We obviously saw that it doesn't really make sense for them to do that. Like, they're just going to lose out a bunch of money for that, right?
And I don't know. I could argue that they would lose a lot of money, but I would still argue that there could be a path that exclusivity could work. But I just don't know if they're at that point right now,
Yeah, that's why that whole 10-year deal thing is interesting, because let's be honest, it doesn't necessarily mean that in 10 years Call of Duty is still going to be the same popular thing as it is right now. Things change in gaming. You see that all the time. So that's, I guess, my question now is, aside from what this could, do you think that this does help Microsoft now level the playing field? This will help them move up the ladder a little bit more, or are they kind of still in the same spot but just got nicer toys?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. Microsoft, I mean, they will probably be in third for a little while now still. Which them being in third, I still think is very interesting, because, I mean, this is, I guess, me answering a different question, but I think them being in third is very interesting because I think that they do a lot better than everyone else. It's just they don't have the games yet, and I think that this gives them the games. So, like, yeah, I think that this clearly will help them, even if it's not exclusive, right? Like, getting the entire catalog of Activision Blizzard, even just through last generation, not even earlier stuff, just last generation stuff. Like, they put out a lot of products, all the collections that they did with Spyro and Crash. They could put, Tony Hawk and all that. Diablo 4 just came out. I know that there's a story that Mike Ybarra says it's not going to happen, but I don't know.
Let's be honest. He's saying that because guess what? If he says, oh, it's coming, people weren't going to buy it anymore.
Very true.
So he's not an idiot. He knows that if he says, I got to tell them it's not going to happen, because there are going to be people that are not going to buy it on Xbox or even PlayStation for that matter, because they're going to wait to see. It'll come on at Game Pass eventually. It might be a year from now, when at that point, who cares, right? So, yeah, but he does have a point right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I think in terms of content, this is a cash cow for content. Like, they produce a lot of games. They have a lot of developers and a lot of workers. They're just developers in terms of teams and in terms of actual people and developers. So, like, they have a machine that they just bought that just regularly produces games. And I think that if they really just need to start thinking more strategically with how they use them, and I think this could get them, over the hump. Like, they want to keep Call of Duty going. So I think that a lot of the three big developers there will probably stay. So I think Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer in some form will all stay making Call of Duty. I don't know about Raven. I know Raven still does a lot, so they might keep Raven as well. But all the other like smaller ones, maybe ease them back a little bit. High Noon. Who else works at Call of Duty?
Toys for Bob.
Toys for Bob. Yeah, now because they took them away from making Crash 4. Like get Toys for Bob making Crash 5 immediately. Just have them do that. High Noon. I think they're what the last things that they were doing was the Transformers games.
Yeah.
So maybe get them doing some something interesting. I'm sure that they don't want to keep making Call of Duty. So they just in the Call of Duty system, they have a lot that they could work with there. So yeah.
Because they pull Vicarious Visions out of Blizzard and get them back to making the Tony Hawk 3 and 4 that everybody wanted.
Do you think that they give them the name back? Would be my question to that.
I wonder, would they do that? Would they just call them something else? Yeah. I mean, it does. It does actually, So that's the thing too, right? Is just Phil Spencer has promised that he is going to try to revive some of these franchises that Activision themselves have basically forsaken because everything became about Call of Duty. And really, Activision was really only producing one game for many years now. And that's the thing is now they can pull some of these developers back and say, hey, you go make something else. Oh, hey, we could pull you to go help with some other game that you guys are making. We have another, I guess we can pull it in here because it's Xbox related, but there was a lot of talk because Grant Kirkhope was interviewed and talked about Banjo Kazooie not having an audience, right? That they wouldn't make it. They don't make it now because the nuts and bolts, which is hilarious because nuts and bolts is very akin to Tears of the Kingdom. That like it didn't get its love back when it was made because everybody wanted a Banjo Kazooie 3, not a nuts and bolts at the time. So now they look at it and they go, really, Nintendo's the only one that's able to pull off this 3D platformer thing. Would they even put it on if it doesn't get put on a Nintendo console, then what's the point? And now you have, maybe you don't have, how many people at Rare are still left that even had anything to do with Banjo Kazooie? Right?
I think a lot of them went to Playtonic, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing is now you have a studio that knows what they're doing. They make Crash, they make Spyro, Toys for Bob, and you can grab those people and go, oh, look, we can get you to make a Crash 5 whenever, but now we can actually do the remake of Banjo Kazooie 1 or whatever. So that and that is as they mentioned in the same interview, like that is how you test it to see if you could get a Banjo Kazooie 3 or whatever. Do that remaster or that remake and say, okay, we got the best people on it we possibly can. It's now or never, right?
I think Grant might be a little misguided. I shouldn't just call Grant, maybe the three of them. I think are just maybe slightly misguided just a bit because I think that gaming is just growing and growing and growing and growing. I don't think that there isn't an audience for a lot of these smaller games. You need to find them now. That's the problem. Like get it to them. And I think Game Pass is a great way to try to get it to people, Yeah,
Game Pass is going to flourish now because that's the thing that they have wanted for a long time. They needed this because of Game Pass. They needed to be able to now say, okay, we really can have something come out consistently every month. That's big. And also have your own portfolio of indie stuff and whatever. I had Get Silius on last week and he talked about, man, I'm worried about what this is going to do for the other indies. I'm worried about that too. As a person that loves indies, they just had that ID at Xbox thing today. And I do worry about that they're going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit because you are going to have these bigger games. Right? Yeah, exactly. That's something that they need to focus on too.
Yeah.
You need to curate
That's like the next
Xbox
step
Game
now.
Pass.
Curate. Yeah. Have like a nice
fix your PC app so you can actually get people to want to use PC Game Pass. Like Blizzard is going to help them with the PC Game Pass thing as well. Like how are you
WoW
do
on
that?
There, right?
Yeah.
Like,
will they do that? That's the thing, right? Like,
for sure. Take it to the bank. They're going to put WoW is coming to PC Game Pass.
You think they're going to because right now you don't have to pay for Fallout 76 or Elder Scrolls Online if you have Game Pass, but WoW's a totally different thing though. Like, do you really want to mess that up? Yeah.
I'll give you another game that's on there that they did a deal with. It's not theirs, but they did do a deal with League, and they have all of the heroes on League, and that is something that people, there's a rotation to that. I'm not a MOBA player, but like that's a big deal that they have all of the heroes on for League on PC Game Pass. So I don't know. I think that maybe they give you a discount on like your monthly sub or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what it is. If it's $10, maybe they cut it in half. Maybe you pay $5 or something, or they give you Game Pass. I don't know, XP boosts. I'm not sure. I'm not a WoW player. So
I'm not either.
Maybe they give you something, give you a mount, or I don't know. There could be some incentives to go through PC Game Pass to play WoW. I think that they will put WoW there, and I think that they might even try to put WoW on console finally.
I do see that. I do see them eventually trying to do that, to like, let's expand this thing even more. Put it on console, make it free on console for a while, see if you can get a fan base, so that the next expansion that comes out, you get even more people playing. So it's going to be crazy when Diablo 4 hits on there as well, which eventually it's going to hit. There's a lot of avenues now that they can go down. It's just there's a lot of things that Xbox has to fix itself, right? Like, you got to minimize the Perfect Dark situation, because you are probably going to create new studios with all these IP that you have now. You hopefully, between Redfall, Perfect Dark, and some of these other little things that they've had happen, they really do start getting into an avenue of, we got to manage these people. We got to manage these studios in a more direct way. Yeah, be hands off, whatever you want to do. But, you're not always going to have a Todd Howard there with Starfield and Elder Scrolls and whatever that's been in the game for a long time. You're going to have people that are coming into these IPs fresh. They don't necessarily know what those IPs mean. They're having you're going to have a bunch of issues happen. You got to be there to stop it and figure it out, and not just have the spiral happen like what's happening with Halo and 343, where
I got a lot to say about that. I don't agree with a lot of how people feel about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's just I loved Halo Infinite, the story mode, right? I thought the multiplayer was fine for what it is. It's obviously that they maybe
it's lacking in maps for me.
Yeah.
That's I think the biggest thing, but I think my biggest thing with Halo Infinite in particular is their choice with trying to make it, like, I'm gonna put quotes, a live service game, instead of just making it like an online Halo game, and just having, like, if they never said those words, I don't think anyone would be upset. I think people would still want more content, but I think that no one would be upset. And I don't know, the whole live service thing, I think, just constantly bothers me. I think that's the worst part about Halo. But I think it feels like the conversation has now turned to Halo Infinite is just a bad game, and it always was. When that's just not the case.
That's not the case. People were loving that multiplayer at the beginning, right? It's just
that first 3 months or 2 months.
Yeah. It was awesome, and then that's the thing. Is like, the problem is now everybody's used to the live service thing, where it's like,
free content.
Where's my content? Where's my content? Where's my if you don't keep putting this out, I'm done playing. I'm gonna go move on to something else. And when you have something like Fortnite or all these other live service games that are out there you could pick from, it's very easy to move on to something else, right? So that is why Sony is trying to see if they can dip their hand in there and find something. It might even be Bungie with reviving one of their old games in Marathon itself, but that's a whole nother matter. Either way, things look good for Xbox right now, but it is all about where they go from here, right? It looks like they finally have some dominoes in a row as far as the releases for next year. And then you still got Forza this year and whatever, but that's
Starfield. Don't forget Starfield.
Yeah, and Starfield as well. But like, Starfield hopefully is the kickoff to, okay,
like the domino, right?
We got it. Like, we're getting these games in here that we've told you about. Then we're gonna bring Activision Blizzard in. You're gonna have Call of Duty and all this stuff on Game Pass, and it's finally gonna be the service that they promised it to be, which is why they raised the price. Which to me, it's so I would definitely I have no problem paying
even
$17
$20 for Ultimate. I think is enough. Like, I think that's a steal. 20 for having PC and
I do think at some point they do need to do what they were trying to do, which is allow you to not have to have Xbox Gold separated for some of these people and just do like PS Plus and do it all together.
Yeah, I can see
Like
that,
it
yeah.
is one service, and then if you want to charge more than $20, I think you can get there eventually. I think it depends on if whatever other look. Microsoft themselves have said they're not done, even though I don't think this scared them at
Sega?
all. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do something big.
Okay.
Maybe if they throw enough money at Sega, maybe they think about it. But again,
They've been getting real buddy for a few
they
years now.
have. Maybe they just announced like an EA Play type thing. They could do that
That's
as
a good
well.
point. Sure. Yeah.
Like that's something that could definitely be on the table instead of just outright like buying these people, just saying, yo, can we get into this like revolving 1-year deal with you? Where, okay, how much money do you want? I don't know how long the EA Play thing is, but they haven't announced anything about EA like going off of that, right? So
No,
yeah,
it's been there for years. And EA, I think EA is, I think I saw something with sometime this year that EA is like the biggest publisher on the
on the
market for
yeah.
Xbox. Is like their games that's the best selling games on Xbox, all of EA's products. So
I mean,
like,
yeah, when you got whether it's called FIFA or not, EA Sports FC, Madden, like now you got the Star Wars stuff. You got so they have good properties that people want to buy the stuff. So don't not surprising at all when it comes
yeah,
to
I'll
that.
give you an
But
acquisition real
yeah,
quick. This one I'm surprised hasn't happened yet, and I would assume that it'll happen. This probably be the next one is Asobo Studios.
yeah,
The ones that do Flight Sim and Microsoft Flight Sim and Plague Tale. I can see them purchasing them.
That's one that I thought they would have done a while
Yeah.
ago, and they didn't. So I think that's in the mix, definitely. That's the thing. Like now they can kind of like start just looking at developers, studios to kind of round that out. Like if there's something that they're missing, like go after that. Which they've done a great job of now. Like just Western RPGs are like one of their huge things they have now.
They have so many.
Yeah.
So many. It's first-person shooters, and with Activision, and also with the Activision-Blizzard thing, they're going to have so many. Plus, what they already had is Western RPGs. Like they have both of those. Like if you want to play Western RPGs or first-person shooters, like you kind of need an Xbox or Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing too. Is the UK's whole problem is that it's about cloud gaming, and so part of the rumors about this divestiture is that they may just cut off cloud gaming for UK Game Pass entirely. They may just have their own regulator there to make sure that Microsoft doesn't put any Activision Blizzard games on the UK Game Pass at all. Or I think that's about the extent of it. I don't think that they're going to
that just hurts
do a
so
whole
many
separate
people.
company. Yeah, I know, and that's what sucks, right? It's like we're going to try to eliminate a market that doesn't exist really, because you're scared Microsoft is always going to be the leader. And is it Microsoft's fault that it doesn't exist? I mean, Google shut down. That's not their fault.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Google tried with Stadia, and it's like Google couldn't really get it done, and that's more, I think, content than like the pure service. I think that there were some things messed up with that service, but like they were getting there. They needed time, but it wasn't the content wasn't there, and like okay, so Google couldn't do it. Who else is out there really trying to do it that's big? Nvidia.
Amazon is the only other big one.
Yeah, with Luna, right? That's right. Amazon.
And they could get themselves involved here, right? They could say, let's go buy somebody and say, okay, well, all these games are going to come to Luna. And then all of a sudden, you might get some people that go, I'm going to try this cloud gaming thing. Amazon has the potential, right? They could do it.
And they
have issues in the EU themselves right now. They're with their whole lawsuit and everything. But like, that's the thing is, will they do it? I don't know. But this does open that door now too of, will Apple throw their hand in the ring? Will Amazon throw it in? So will Microsoft keep trying to buy things to block Amazon or Apple from getting in? Or Sony does it to do the same thing, or just to compete with Microsoft. But it's like, that's the thing that's interesting here with the UK is just like, I really hope that they figure out something else that doesn't involve taking off an entire service away from the UK. If it is, you have to take off cloud gaming. The UK's internet is probably even worse than some of the rural areas in the United States. So would that really be hurt that much? I don't know. But then you are then forcing people to buy an Xbox, which wasn't that the whole point, right? That they didn't have to buy an Xbox to play this game. They can
Yeah, they just want them on
sign
the
up.
platform in any way.
So, and I wonder if this will now allow. You think this is finally going to be the where we get the dongle? Like this finally spurs them to, okay, we got the content. Let's figure out a way to make this dongle work. Because
I think they need to make a dongle.
Yeah.
But like we said earlier, or we mentioned, I think before the show, that like the only way to really do it is you have to have a controller. Like you have to.
Yeah. Stadia had the controller.
Right? Yeah. So what are the controllers running right now? About $70, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if they push it, maybe they could say they're 60 and they can take a loss on that part. And then it's like, how much is the dongle? How much is really even happening in the dongle? Probably not a ton of processing power, but there's something in there. So it's like how cheap can you get that? I don't really know. I don't really have a dongle. I use my consoles for all my apps and stuff. So like, yeah, maybe you know more about dongles and like Chromecasts and stuff, but
yeah. No, I mean they could also just do what they've already done with Samsung, which is get a whole gaming hub and have the Xbox app in there, which that would be most likely because Sony people I have all the TVs in my house are smart TVs, so the app's already on them. If you put the Xbox app on there, all I have to do is load it, log in, and it plays right on my TV. You make it that easy for people, you're going to get people to sign up that aren't gamers. You tell them this costs $17 a month, $20 a month, whatever, and I get all of these games. Wow. Like that's right there for somebody to just, you got kids. Hey, all I got to do is buy them one more controller and both of my kids can sit there and play. Like, that's why you have to have the controller. Because I think if you're making it almost let's say the dongle costs $100. If you make it almost a $200 and something purchase for people, they're not going to buy it.
Yeah, it's pretty pricey. Yeah. Like this should be a service about value, and there's a lot of people pinching pennies, especially right now. Like the people are struggling in a lot of different ways, and like if you want to get more people on the service, that also will make Microsoft a lot of money, and you don't want it to be $200. Like that is a lot. If you can, if they could just do it as just the cost of the controller, and that's all anyone needs, it's a controller or your phone. You get xCloud on your phone, and that could be a solution, and just get it into people's hands, and they pay one price, and they just have access to 500 games or whatever Game Pass is at. Right
I mean, I wonder if that's also going to lessen the amount of like the third party and indie games that they put on the service, because now they have more of their own stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Like, do we start seeing less games, when they do that whole bi-monthly thing of, oh, here's what's coming, because they have all those ID at Xbox things in the pipeline. They have, all these other games that now they own and games they're making. So I think that's also part of it, is the more stuff you own yourself, as Jim Ryan said himself, the less you got to worry about having to make these deals and what happens with this and stuff like that. Do you think that, I guess last one, do you think this means that Sony's going to double down more on the third party exclusive stuff? Or
that's a good question. I mean, I feel like they already have, like, I feel like especially with like the start of the PS5, I feel like they keep doing it. Like, it's honestly my biggest complaint, and I know that I am kind of in a minority when it comes to, I don't want any exclusive, period, no matter what. Like, I ultimately don't feel that the good of, it being made for a platform and easier development and things like that outweigh the accessibility to smash on my PlayStation or Xbox or PC or whatever, like legally, not, ROMs and stuff. But Like, I just want every game everywhere and everyone to have access all the time. Like,
Right.
I know that Xbox likes or Microsoft likes to say that, but I think that is more of a utopic way to look at everything. Like, but that is how I would want things to be personally.
I don't think we're going to get there ever.
No.
Unless Nintendo just stops operating.
It was close. It was close after the Wii U.
Yeah, we almost got there, but now they are just, especially with the Mario movie now, like they are in a whole other world by themselves.
Yeah, they're
still competition, but they are ruling. And I do worry about Nintendo, but that's a whole other thing of like, hopefully they don't get too smart for themselves.
Yeah,
and try to like, we got to make something weird again, like. Like I think you found your thing. Like just keep doing the Switch.
They got to keep that hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that they need to like split their market again. I just hope that they don't do that, but we'll see what they decide to do at the end of the day. But moving on from here, we do have some other things that doesn't involve Microsoft necessarily directly. Again, this wasn't part of the plan of this show. It just kind of happened this morning.
Yeah.
So Surprise. It is what it is. And I did watch some of that ID at Xbox, and there are some cool games coming. But I'll probably just talk about that next week because I don't want to be here.
I didn't get a chance to look.
But yeah, there's some cool stuff. Not all of it's coming to Game Pass, but I love when they do these. And like that's what's awesome is that right now they're doing that demo fest thing. So if you have an Xbox or do the PC, I'm not sure if it's on the PC side or not, but I know the Steam Next Fest, all the stuff that was Steam Next Fest, if those demos are supposed to be Next Fest exclusive there, I think they're leaving today. Okay. So this is kind of the supplement of that. Xbox has some, I think like 20 games that they're putting on. So like
Sea of Stars is one of them, right?
Liza P was one of the ones from Summer Game Fest.
Okay.
Supposedly it was supposed to stop operating on the 27th of June. So I haven't tried to load it up again. But it's supposed to not work. And then
I never got to check that out.
I thought it was pretty cool. I like the
But it's on Game Pass, so I'll download it.
Yeah, it'll be on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So when it comes out September 19th. So like that's the thing is like at least they're doing all that stuff with this. Like I'm excited to play the new Sea of Stars demo and
WrestleQuest has a demo. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's gonna be on Game Pass too. Like that went from not being on Xbox at all to being on Game Pass, that's pretty cool.
Oh, right? They paid for that.
Yeah, they definitely paid.
They threw some money for that one.
Yeah, so there's some cool ones on there. I would say go check it out this week because it's done on the 17th. So make sure you check it out by then. That being said, let's move on to some other people that make games. We just talked about them. Square-Enix. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters apparently sold well enough. What do you know when you put them on console, right? Instead of having them stuck on the PC and mobile for a
except
whole
for
year.
Xbox.
Yeah, which that
doesn't make
sense
either.
Like,
doesn't make sense. The Japanese developers are weird with like they'll slowly put things to PC and they're like, wait, if you put it on more platforms, more people will buy it. So it's like, are they going to realize that there are people that would buy it on Xbox as well? Are they eventually going to realize that?
And that's one of those things that because you're doing it piecemeal, you're not forcing them to do the collection. I don't think it works with Game Pass like that.
I mean on the platform, not necessarily Game Pass.
I'm saying like Square Enix likes to wait for that Game Pass money.
Sure. Yeah.
So like that's why it's weird that Octopath 2 is not on there.
It doesn't make any sense.
Because
PlayStation doesn't have the first game.
Yeah. So it's like this is so weird. But that's the thing is it doesn't make sense to me. This is a game that if you had an Xbox, I think you're going to buy piecemeal or you're going to buy the collection or whatever. It's not something you're going to be waiting to see if it shows up on Game Pass because it's very niche. Like you have to be a hardcore Final Fantasy fan to even want that in the first place. Yes, it has like 3 of the greatest games ever, between 4 to 6, but still like, you have to want to play a freaking Super Nintendo game, which not everybody wants to do. So I just think that that's kind of misguided in a way of not wanting to put it on Xbox.
I think more access to them, right? That's what we need.
Well, but we don't know if Sony paid money.
They probably
for that. So they're not going to rule out Nintendo because, dude, if you don't put that on the Switch, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, Square's not that dumb.
Especially because I think Square is still trying to make amends to Nintendo all the time about these are originally Nintendo products. Like, how are we not going to put this on the Switch, right? But at the end of the day, Square-Enix does have a lot of properties, a lot of IP that's kind of sitting there, not doing a whole lot. And there's rumors, obviously. I had Hayes Madsen on to talk about give his review of Final Fantasy 16 a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about okay, there's the rumor of the Final Fantasy 9 remake. Now there's a rumor of a 10 remake. Now there's a big rumor that people inside Square Enix want to make a 6 remake. They got that
4 remake or something, or
the Star Ocean. They got that Star Ocean surprise second story HD 2D thing. You still got Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D coming. So you have all this IP that's sitting there. Why wouldn't you use it? Right? Look what you did for Live Alive. Nobody freaking knew about that game at all. And then it comes out, it sells. Yeah, Per Schneider, exactly. And then lo and behold, oh wow, that's what brought about Octopath Traveler. It's so cool to have that part of gaming history available. And I don't know if you saw the story that there was a study done that only 13% of games made before 2010 are available on modern consoles. Or modern availability, right? 87% of video games before 2010 are not available to purchase at all. It's insane that we have such a bad way of thinking about video game history. Square Enix, hopefully this spurs them on to the two things that to me strike immediately is Final Fantasy 14 is huge right now. Why are you not doing a Tactics remake or remaster? Why are you not doing or do a Tactics collection with the GBA games and put them everywhere? I don't know. And then why are you not doing something involving Vagrant Story? Because that's also kind of connected to Ivalice and all that.
Where's the old Dragon Quest games? Where's a collection of all the old ones?
They made the first 3 on Nintendo, and then the other ones are stuck on 3DS, which now nobody can buy them. So there's so much there for them to pull from. And then there's the other stuff that's great. I mean, they've been doing with the Saga games, right? I don't know how well they've been doing. They did it with the Mana games as well. I really hope that this gets them to look at the library of remasters that are possible and say, look, let's start doing what Capcom does. Let's start making this part of our portfolio. Because as a huge RPG guy that I am, I will play them all. So just make them and I will play them all.
Who even also does it is Konami. They have a lot of collections. It's if Konami's doing it, everyone else could be doing it because they don't do anything else, Bandai
Namco, get in the boat too. Let's do it.
Yeah. I think that just access to all these games, just not even just Square, just just everyone. We're getting so many remasters and remakes and things like that. And that's kind of cool, but I'm getting sick of all of them. I would rather everyone just be able to play, this might be pretty controversial. I'd rather everyone just have access to Resident Evil 4 original and that's it.
Which they do.
And that's it. They do. But I was just throwing a big game out there. If everyone could just play that, who cares if they get a remake? Just play the original. It's there. So I wish just every other game could just be that instead of oh, let's get a remake of the game. Why not just port it and that's it?
I think the problem is, and I agree with you to an extent, right? When still some of the highest rated games that came out this year are remakes. People went nuts, for me included, for the second part of Final Fantasy 7 remake. So that's the problem, is that when you get to see that game come to life in a new way, well, not all of them are new, right? That some of them are just straight up like you're just remastering the game or remaking it, but like the Dead Space one, right? But they do well, they sell well, and that's the problem. Is it's the same thing that Disney has with doing all their live action versions of all their animated masterpieces. Is people go out and freaking watch them, and that's the thing is we would have to, as a society, decide that, yo, let's just play the game the way it was and leave it at that, right? But that doesn't, unfortunately, as much as we, as people that have been playing games for a long time, are cool with going back and playing the pixel remasters, right? As they were, even though they've been gussied up and prettied up and whatever, you still want, even if it's making it look a little bit different, like they're doing with Ever Crisis with Final Fantasy VII. You want something, right? You want something, and that's the thing is like people want the hot newness, and if you can make the old thing the hot newness again, that's so hard to put back in the bottle. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like it's just something I hate it too, because it's like we want the new thing, right? Oh, I'd rather you go make Resident Evil 9, not make Resident Evil 4.
But as great as that remake is,
you're still
and
doing
as much
it.
as I hate Ethan, it's like,
right.
You know, I still want Resident Evil 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, you know, that's another thing is Capcom, which that's where I'm at with this too. Is I hope Capcom is not going to forget that they have pieces of the story that still haven't been told that are there.
Where's Jill?
Yeah, like Code Veronica should be getting a remake or remaster or whatever before we're going on to remaking 5 and heaven forbid
5
6.
is next. 5 is next.
Unfortunately, 100%. That's the thing is it seems like 5 is skipping all that and we're just leaving pieces of the story around.
Yeah.
You know, you could also just remake 0. That's
let it be. You can play it on modern consoles. Let it be. No one needs to
I mean, but or like find a way to make it to where you don't have to play with like the tank controls or something. But like that's that's the thing is they have options for how to continue the story that's already there. You're trying to make this. I get what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to make the 1 through 6 more cohesive, which that's fine. You know, I applaud them for trying to do that, but it's like, why are we just forgetting about all these other, you know, Resident Evil titles that are part of that? So
I guess my only, like, we don't need to keep going on about this, but my only thing about that, so we'll just go with the 1 through 6. So say they, you know, that is it. They're going to remake 1 through 6 and they're done. But then guess what? In whatever years, once you get to look back at 2 remake, that game's going to feel old. Then what are you going to remake again? It's like, no, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, just let the games be playable,
right?
And then, you know, let's move on. That's it. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. At some point, like at some point, you got to stop. Again, to bring this up, Disney's gonna run out of movies to remake, and they're gonna have to start like thinking about, okay, well, do we do sequels to some of these? Like they actually are doing a sequel to the Lion King one, like.
Oh no, they're not.
You know, so like what like that's it sucks. Trust me, I was like, no.
I didn't even see the live action. I saw the original.
The thing was, the live action thing is like one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
It's like in the top 10 or something. It's crazy.
Which is ridiculous. But yeah, they're gonna eventually run out of that. So they're gonna have to think about, okay, what do we do now? And then like Capcom's gonna get to that point too of like, well, what do? We can't, like you said, remake it again. So hopefully by then there's also Resident Evil 9, 10 or whatever. But that's the thing is Resident Evil, at least this has helped make that franchise even bigger. And that's what I appreciate, right? Like it made me into a Resident Evil fan because I was never really a Resident Evil person until I played Village.
Okay.
And then that got me into it. Right.
Wow. Interesting.
So then I went back and played 7. I liked that a lot. And then I went back and played 2. and I gave it a first shake, and I've gotten through more of it. You know, so like I have developed a love for the franchise just because I
Have
found
you
one
played
that
the
worked
one?
for me. I haven't played one,
Okay,
but
try to play the one. I think it's technically called remake. One remake,
yeah,
the one the
one
GameCube
remake. Okay,
version. Yeah, play that one. It has
okay,
like a modern control, so you're not like always having to worry about the direction of the tank. But that game really still holds up. It might feel a little dated because it's I think that remake was like 2001, but
yeah.
that's an all timer right there. That's a great game.
Well, that's yeah, and then that's the thing. Like I bought, even though I don't know when, but I ended up buying all the Resident Evil stuff, even the ones that are like ancillary, like Revelations or whatever, because
Revelations, yeah.
they had them all on sale. So like I was like, okay, cool. Like, so I do think there is a way of, it does help in a way of getting like look at all the people that don't give an absolute damn about Final Fantasy, but they picked up 16 because it looks cool, right?
It does look cool, yeah.
Like, so I do see the caveat in that, but I do agree with you in a way. Like, that's where I think Square Enix, look at the fact that all you did was make this look pretty, but it's still the original game. If you do that with some of these IP that have been sitting there since the PS1 not doing anything, that would be really nice. Like, make it happen. So, moving on from that, we talked about the Banjo Kazooie thing already. Just to kind of save a little time, unless you were
No,
really,
like I
I don't
said,
know how big of a Mega Man fan you are. So,
my biggest connection to Mega Man is probably Battle Network. Actually, I played a few of the
so
games, but I really love Battle Network.
that's where I am too.
I didn't pick up the collection. I don't really. There's too much to play, but
Yeah,
like I might pick the collection up later. But yeah, the Battle Network games are awesome. I'm a big card game fan, and having like a nice blend of card game with some like some action and it was just a really cool game. And we used to like system link our Game Boys and just battle each other. Really fun.
I reviewed, I think, the first couple, and I really like wound up loving them just because like it's not what I expected it was going to be, and then eventually it got to the point where it's like there was too many. So, and they started doing
like
the thing where they they started doing that thing with the Pokemon where it's like, oh, we have two versions, and it's like
yeah, I think you get like different chips or something in each version.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was just like, yo, this is too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I still don't like the Pokemon does it. It bothers me so much.
I really wish Pokemon would just be like, okay, there's just one game.
Yeah, it's just become ingrained. But then it's like they did Arceus, and it's like you only did one Arceus, so it's like, can't you just keep doing that, please?
Yeah, like I don't know. Pokemon's just they have to just. I appreciate that they finally got out of their shell with Arceus and Scarlet and Violet. But it's like, man, if we're really gonna start taking Pokemon in a different direction, like just make one game. It's okay. Yeah. Even though I only wind up buying one game, I guess it doesn't hurt me particularly, but whatever. It's a way to manipulate the sales. Also.
It is, yeah.
Just to get this one, I think this was the last news thing that I had was that EA and Marvel finally confirmed that the Black Panther game that got leaked actually exists, and that they are working on it. It's in early development, so probably going to be a few years. That makes me worry about where Marvel's going to be by then. But that's another story.
That's a different question. That's a completely different question. Yeah.
Spider-Man, and Insomniac's done awesome with Spider-Man. Rocksteady's still trying to live off the legacy of Batman. They just announced that collection for Switch. So like now we're getting a Black Panther solo game.
A second like Black Panther game.
Yeah. Well, they had the DLC for Avengers, which
that and that as well. Yeah. So Black Panther.
I like. What do you? Yeah, because they have that one with Captain America.
Yeah, right? That one.
Yeah. So that's nuts. That we're not only one but two. Like, I don't know how big of a Black Panther fan are you? And then I guess is there anything you want to see them do with this character in this game that will make it be like, oh man, I want to buy this now?
Yeah, I mean, I love the character. what do I really want? I don't know. Like, I think every game's just trying to be the like third person action game. Like
Yeah.
that's obviously what this is going to be. Like I can, there's no way it's not a third person action game. But it's like, do I just want it to be an open world Ubisoft, icons everywhere type of game? It's like it's probably going to be something like that. That's not really what I want. I guess if I got my way, it would be a 10-hour single player game, very Uncharted like that, with just Black Panther and have like a cool story. That's really what I'd want. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I don't need it to be this like 60-hour open world thing.
We get too many.
Yeah, like if you want to make it like 15 or whatever, try to kind of go the Spider-Man route, which I think that's probably what they're going to try to emulate the most.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that too. I didn't even think about the Spider-Man.
As long as the story is good, I'm cool with it because I love Black Panther's the character.
Exploring Wakanda could be fun.
Yes,
in a way.
Yeah. How much are they going to be able to play with that? Like, are they going to let them? My worry is that they're going to, what we've seen Disney do with a lot of this stuff is they're going to like, it has to be part of the MCU and it has to follow that. And I hope that they let them go more of the Square-Enix route with Avengers, even though, that didn't turn out great. It wasn't for the story. It was because of other things with the multiplayer. If they let them do their own original story and do that, then I'm cool with that. It should be a good game, a great game. I do worry about where Marvel is going to be at the time that this comes out. And if maybe we are really into the superhero fatigue, and I worry about like sales wise what it will do.
Yeah, I mean, there's also this is a new studio, right?
Yeah,
they're building the studio for that, so it's unproven. They're unproven. Like with Avengers, like that was at least Crystal Dynamics. Like they're awesome.
Yeah.
They make good games, so we at least knew about that. With them, it's like, oh, this is this is somebody new. Even with like the Black Panther, Captain America game, like, yeah, we know Amy Hennig, but I don't really know if we know if that team is, like she's building a team there. Like that's still an unproven team, even though she really isn't. She's done a lot. She's very proven. Yeah, I think the Disney's a little. They're like a little wish-washy because it's like, yeah, you said, yeah, they're very strict with Star Wars. Like everything Star Wars is canon. Like that's just for sure. Everything's canon. All the Jedi games with Cal and everything, those are canon Star Wars stories. The Marvel thing, like they've done multiple Marvel games. The Spider-Man games aren't canon. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 isn't canon. Avengers.
They screwed up the Marvel vs. Capcom one because they tried to make it
that too.
MCU.
Yeah,
and like it's like if you would have let that be what it's always been, that would have been a much better game, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they've learned from that actually, and just said we'll let them make kind of whatever they want because we don't need it. If they try to tie like what DC announced, right? Like James Gunn said, everything is going to be canon, even the games. Even I think Marvel's kind of got to the point where it's like, if we try to make all of this stuff canon too, we're going to make people go in such a loop that they're going to be totally disconnected from everything. It's like, excuse me, you can say that right now because you're starting brand new, right? If you're James Gunn, but as far along as Marvel is, I don't think you can even do that at this point. Like it's already a problem for people are getting mad about. We have the TV shows, right? And it's like, how many of these TV shows I got to watch? I don't see anybody. I mean, as much as I love Samuel L., and I don't see anybody talking about Secret Invasion at all.
I think the problem is there's just too much content everywhere. We talked about that at the very beginning of the show. There's just too much content. There's too much TV shows, too much movies, too many games. No one can consume everything. So these shows are going to get run over. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think people are really starting to get into the streaming service fatigue as well.
Because it's just so spread. There's every new company needs a new service. It's like, I thought that this was supposed to, fix cable, right? Not, not.
You made it worse because now I got to.
Making it worse.
when I try to go find if I can watch a movie, I got to go figure out if it's on one of the streaming services. Oh, do I have that one? Oh, should I go ahead and do the free trial to watch it? And then I got to remember that I got to cancel it.
Yeah, then you gotta
And it's
cancel it,
like, oh, and then I get charged, and then I turn around and it's like, oh, damn, $15, like. So then Disney does their bundle thing, which is fine because I watch a lot of sports, so I have to have ESPN for something. So like, I'm not really watching Disney Plus or really Hulu that much, but I have it because I have the ESPN thing, and I have ESPN Plus. So it's like, and they keep raising the price of everything that it's pointless to get one of them because it almost costs the same as like all three of them. So it's getting to the point where this is getting way more pricey than cable is.
For sure.
And then you still got to pay for the internet apart from that. So, it's a whole another ball of worms, but I worry about like that is going to crash really hard. And then where are they going to go from there? But we'll see. We'll see where Marvel's at that point whenever Black Panther comes out. And hopefully they're not in a really bad state, because I don't want to see those. I don't want to see the properties just go away completely. Like, I still would love to see what they can do, with these movies that they have planned. But yeah, I think they got to start consolidating some of this stuff. It got too much going on. So that being said, moving, let's go backwards a little bit. Like,
Okay.
when I have a first time guest, I like to have these like gaming origin questions of like how did you start, all of this kind of stuff, because everybody has a story. I've had people on here that are not gamers from the beginning of life or whatever. They got it later. How they like do what they do now with gaming is interesting because they're not they come from a different field. Like, so I always kind of find it interesting to get everybody's perspective on this. So, like, have you always been a gamer? Did you have somebody kind of introduce you to that, or did you find it like yourself? Did you have like a first console?
Yeah, so growing up, almost no one in my family played games. My parents didn't play games. I had a few cousins that like I would play like a Super Nintendo game or something. But I was very young, didn't really remember. I never had anything, so it'd just be play something, and I'd go back home and I'd just play with my toys. But the game that there was a double whammy of two games that really like, this is what games can be, and the first one was Pokemon. I'm perfect age for Pokemon. Pokemon exploded, and then I had to play Pokemon. But the first real console that I had was the original Xbox, and the game that blew my mind at the time was Halo 1. I did not think a game could even be that. I thought a game had to be, more cartoon graphics, and
Right.
I didn't think a game could be realistic. Looking at Halo 1 now, it's like, that game's not really realistic anymore.
No, but back then, man, those graphics were freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, did you have because Halo 1 was the game, junior high school for me, of
Nice.
Like, when we had a slumber party, an all night, everybody would bring their CRT TV, you bring your Xbox, everybody, and you do System Link, and you have the 8 players. Yeah.
Yes.
So like, those PC people had their LAN parties. We had the System Link.
Yes.
Like, so.
We did that for sure.
Yeah, I'll do that
like,
too.
As soon as I got my Xbox, I got it for Christmas in 2001. I got the bundle that came with, I think it was Jet Set Radio Future. I think it was the Future one. It was a dual disc. It was Jet Set Radio
Sega GT and
Sega TT Racing. Yeah, that was what I had, and then I also had Halo.
Right.
And my cousin, came over sometime after, and he ended up getting an Xbox, and then his brother, my other cousin, got an Xbox, and that's how we did System Link and stuff. And then that forged into like, I got Xbox Live, pretty early. I got it when Halo 2 came out. and that's my favorite game of all time. And I've been playing Xbox Live since I guess Christmas, Halo 2 days, 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome though. You've been like, I think I did play it when Halo 2 came out, but I wasn't like too into the like playing stuff online that much, and if I did, it was the sports games or whatever. So
for sure. Yeah. I mean, my account is not technically that old. I think at some point around the 360 I had to get a new account. There was like some weird thing with like I think it was on my mom's old account, and like it was really weird. But yeah, that's how long I've been playing Xbox Live.
No, so I definitely understand that we both have that like original Halo love. So like that's a series that is near and dear to us. Do you have, I guess, aside from Halo, do you have like any other franchises that you love like that? Any like other favorite games of all time kind of thing?
Oh yeah, I have actually a list because of our friend Tucker. He does a lot of lists. He basically he pushed me off the cliff into making a list. So I have like a top 200. I constantly adjust this thing. Yeah. Oh, I got real serious, and
I'm sitting here trying to do that top 50, and I'm like, holy crap, I gotta really think about that.
I posted it the other day of mine. So yeah, I do have my list. So like I said, Pokemon is another big one. I love 2D Mario. I love Super Mario World. It's probably my favorite, just pure favorite Mario game. But I also love 3D Mario.
Yeah.
The only one I want to still play for 3D is Galaxy 2. And I'm hoping that we get a Switch.
Why was that not in the freaking collection that you made it all buy, and then you put the damn games on your freaking service anyways? So.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I can even pull up my list in 2 seconds here.
Yeah. Do you have like a certain genres that you like favor more than others?
Well, it started with shooters, but there became a point. I don't know exactly when. Maybe right around the end of the 360, where I started, or mid to end 360. I was like, I'm gonna try more. There's more I haven't seen, and things like that. So I started playing, like Mass Effect and even more Rockstar. Like Rockstar is huge. I think, like, I'm gonna make a controversial statement right here, right now. I think the best modern video game ever made is Red Dead Redemption 2. Just hands down. I don't think there's any better modern video game. I think it's better than Last of Us. I think it's a better story than Last of Us.
There's definitely some folks that I know that would agree with you there.
So I'm not super genre dependent, especially at this point. Like, I just play everything. Like, I don't really care. I'll play, JRPGs to shooters to hack and slash. I love action games. But yeah, I have my list pulled up here.
Okay.
So I'm just looking. I started more recently. I've always tried From Software games, as they were coming out. Like, I even played, like, my best friend I live with. We played Dark Souls 1 when it first came out in like 2010 or 11. And it just, it was on his Xbox, and it just didn't really fully click for me. I played a good amount then, but I think Elden Ring, like, kind of broke me in a good way. I don't know what it was, but it broke me last year. And it, like, I just saw, I saw through the looking glass, and I'm like, I think I'm a From Software boy now, and I don't understand. I never thought I was a From Software boy. So last year it went from Elden Ring, beat Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne, which I also played. I also played like 10 hours of Bloodborne when it first came out, and then something else came out and I stopped playing it. But I beat all 3 of those From games in all just last year. And they're all incredible, especially Bloodborne. That's a perfect.
That's the one that I keep like going, oh, I got to play this,
You
like,
should.
Everybody tells me that's the one if you want to like try to get into this, because I have, we have friends that, my co-host and then his friend are like, they're big on those games, so they're like, oh man, you should try. They're like, I hate the whole feeling of I'm dying and just dying thing, and
that can be punishing. I would say Bloodborne's a little different. You get a lot more healing items, and like, and they also counterbalance it with how your health bar works. Like, so like in a normal, Souls game, like you're just gonna get hit and then your health will go down and then you have to drink an Estus flask and then you bring your health back up. But in Bloodborne, you actually have like a little bit of time to, like, if you get a hit, you can regain a little bit of your health for like a short period of time. Like you actually can see your health bar, like a fighting game,
Right.
If you're Marvel vs. Capcom, if you bring your guy back, they'll heal for a little bit. It's very similar in Bloodborne, but you also just get a lot of your healing blood vials more than like your Estus flasks. The game isn't super blocky, and in a lot of Souls games, I guess you can kind of play them dodgy too, but you don't really get a shield. You really get a gun and a melee weapon, or you can do a two-handed melee. So it's a lot more dodgy. If you like dodgy games, you like being very quick.
Okay, yeah. See, now that works for me because that's how I'm playing 16. I'm just messing with the dodge. I'm not trying to parry. I'm really bad about try to do it exactly so you can parry, right?
Yeah, so, Bloodborne does have a parry though. Like I like the blunderbuss. There's like a pistol you can get, or a few. Yeah. There's a few different guns, but the blunderbuss, if you time it on somebody's attack, you can parry. But it is about dodging. You don't have to parry. You could be like two-hander, dodging around and hitting people like that. That's really what.
I think I'm going to take your recommendation and actually try. Like my problem is that I think Ains has talked about this too when with Season Gaming, that like I've done this for so long, the whole be in the review cycle as a reviewer, that like you have to move on. You have to like play game, review game, move on to the next thing. You don't really have time to, and especially as you get older, gotta spend time with the kids, spend time with the girlfriend, like have to have a life outside of sitting in front of the TV. So it's already an issue to review the games that you have to review. So, which has also been a problem, because sometimes I get to the point where I finish the game and then it's like imposter syndrome sets in and I don't ever write the review, which is another issue. But like, I've been trying to get better about that, but it's still like that whole thing happens. But yeah, especially like now that I've like started to work from home, like I feel like I'm being a lot more productive, so I could do things. But when I'm having to drive 45 minutes to the office, drive back, I get home at midnight, the last thing I want to do is anything. I'm sitting there watching TV to go to sleep. But anyway, like my point is, even this whole year, right? You go from Hi-Fi Rush to Theater Rhythm to Octopath Traveler 2, which I had to finally get to the point with Octopath Traveler 2 where like, okay, I'm going to be here another month trying to beat this game, so I'm just going to have to write the review from like where I'm at. I played like 90 hours. That's enough, like, because it's that whole thing of like, you'll write the review and then it like, oh, you didn't finish the game, right? It's like, it's like the thing is, it depends on what your belief is. You have to finish the game to review it. Is there a certain point where the game doesn't change? And that's my favorite genre is RPGs, especially the one with the J in it. So they're long games, unfortunately. So that's the thing is that gets stuck there too. Then I have to think about it sometimes, and that's why I will decide, okay, I'm not going to review insert big game here because I want to play something else. I want to take a little bit of time off. So like trying to find that thing of being like, okay, I'm going to get out of this cycle when there's like, let's say this month where there's not a whole lot. I could finally probably play a Bloodborne or do something like that. But man, this year's been nuts.
This year's insane. I think really what helped me, and it kind of, I guess, will tell you what kind of gamer I am. There's two things. The first one's the easiest one, is I don't really replay any video game. If I beat the game, I'm done. Like even if it's years ago, I don't like I played the game. If I really want to go look, I'll go look a gameplay up or something. If I really need to see something. So like I just don't replay. I want to try something new. Whether even if that is an older game, like I'd rather have that new experience than replay a game I've played already. But then actually in-game stuff, I don't really do a ton of side quests. Not that I'm always pure mainline, but I do not do a ton of side stuff. So that really cuts a lot of my time. Like I always feel a lot of it's pretty ancillary and not,
No, and you're right about that. A lot of times the side quests are,
Yeah, I'll do loyalty missions like Mass Effect. Like that's really big, and it's like it affects the game. And like if it's like that big of a side quest, I'll do. But if it's just like, hey, go fetch me 10, bones and then bring it back to me, it's
no,
like,
yeah.
I mean, why do I really want to do that? Like, I don't want to do that.
No, I get you there. That's been our problem with 16 is that like everybody was like, oh man, the side quests are so good. So I'm just sitting here going,
I haven't done.
okay, well, so I have to do a side quest, and then it's kind of okay at first. Like when you the first part of the game, it like kind of guides you through. It's kind of like, okay, there's 3 here, there's 4 here, whatever.
Yeah,
you
I
get
did like
to
one,
like
actually, on
Bahamut or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like 15, and I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And then like I got to beat Odin, and then it's like drops like 30 on you. I'm like, geez, what the hell?
No,
And
that
then
sounds like a nightmare. I'm not even that far in. I think I've done like I said I didn't do any, but I think I did maybe 1, maybe 2, but they're all like on the path. It's like talk to this dude,
exactly.
do this thing, and then I'm already going that way. It's like, okay, sure, I guess, but I'm not. It's too much.
That's how I've done the hunts. It's like, oh, are they on my way of whatever I'm doing? Okay, I'll just go over there, kill the thing, and so like that's my problem sometimes too. Is like especially with you play the JRPGs, you get in the side quests, you get stuck. And if I'm reviewing the game, also I feel like, okay, I have to play enough of these to be able to talk about it and be able to say, okay, well, these are worth it or not. So yeah, like I try to mainline, and then it's like, okay, well, I got to do some of these, and then I get stuck in the circle.
A game like Persona 5.
Yeah,
I mean, I still don't think it necessarily justifies its 90 hours. I think it took for me to beat it. It's like I don't necessarily think it justifies 90 hours, but I think that it does a good job of making everything feel meaningful, and everything you're doing isn't like ancillary side stuff. Like, oh, you're going to hang out with your friend, or whatever. Like you're actually doing things that feel cohesive and a part of what you're just naturally doing, like living your normal life. Like it's supposed to be a life sim, mixed with other things. And like I think Persona 5 does a very good job at that. But I still think that they could cut 30 hours out of the game and it'd still be very long.
I mean, Persona 5 was my first one. I had never played any of the Personas before then. So I'm sitting there with the review code, and I'm like, oh, this game came out already in Japan. And so I'm going to have to start following a guide, because if not, I'm going to get stuck in here and never, So I followed a guide to kind of be like, okay, well, this is kind of what you should be doing most of the days or whatever. And then, you go to the palaces. Those are awesome. But that's what I really appreciated. Like the story's great. All the enemy characters are awesome. And then obviously your party's cool too. And then doing all I really gained an appreciation for the whole, like talking to your party, like outside of the quests and going and like, that's why I ended up loving L'Accused Like a Dragon, right? Because it does a lot of that.
I'm a big Yakuza fan. I didn't bring that up. I'm a huge Yakuza fan. Yeah,
I wasn't necessarily like, I played some of them, but it would kind of like wear on me and I'd stop. But like Yakuza Like a Dragon, playing into the RPG part, helped me kind of like, oh, I'm gonna beat this game. And obviously Ichiban is a freaking awesome character.
I mean, I'm more of a Kiryu guy.
Yeah,
I love Ichiban, but I like Kiryu more. I mean, I think Zero is probably my favorite of the series, but 7's pretty close. But yeah, Ichiban's great, and that is a great cast. I love that cast. Nanba, shout out to Nanba.
Yeah, Nanba. Man, well, not even what's the name of the cop? I can't remember his name.
Adachi.
Yeah, he's freaking
Adachi's
awesome
cool.
too.
Another one of my favorites is Zhao.
Yes,
the dude with the cool looking sword.
I was sad like when they did the whole trailer for Like a Dragon 8, and Ichiban's like, oh man, I got Psycho to marry. I asked Psycho to marry me. She said no, and I was like, oh no, I wanted that to actually happen. It's like,
I think it's still gonna happen. They got it. Okay, this is a diatribe here, but like Kiryu falls in love like 7 times. It's like, let this man enjoy life. They
take it away from him every time, right?
Yeah. Where's that cop girl from the second game that went to the United States? Maybe that's why he's going to the United States. He'll go with
Right.
Ichiban, and he's going to go get her and marry her. How about that? Give
Hopefully,
my boy Kiryu like a happy ending, you know?
I bet you're excited that you get to have both of them in that
Oh,
game too.
you know, what a tease with him being spoilers, him being in 7. I'm like,
Right?
oh,
Yeah.
you couldn't help but not have Kiryu in this game, huh? It couldn't just be Ichiban. You had to spice it.
Had to put him in there. I mean, at least they made it kind of like give you a reason why he
What a
would be
cool
in there.
fight too.
Yeah.
The fight with him. Oh,
The fight was freaking awesome.
so
yeah, I'm excited for that game with
me too.
Like you get to find out what Kiryu was doing during 7.
Yeah, Gaiden's this year. That's right. I keep forgetting.
That's another one that man who erased it. The name.
What
is
a name!
Like tremendous. Like, the man who erased his name.
Like a dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name. What?
Yeah.
What a name! What an insane name for.
These RGG folks. Like it's
They're
insane.
So
also,
I
like
love them.
How that series came out of nowhere and just with Zero just exploded, right? And
yeah, there was like multiple explosions. It was like Zero was like them kind of trying to bring it back, and then that kind of really got big. And then it really, like, I don't want to make it about Xbox, but it was when they kind of put it to a new platform.
Mm-hmm.
They put it on Game Pass, and I think it was around 2020. That was really when I started playing it.
Yeah.
And it just exploded. It just became a phenomenon in the West, and now it's one of Sega's biggest franchises. So, yeah.
Another reason why they're buddy with Microsoft is, you know, that's the thing. Like, you know, my co-host, he hates Game Pass existing. He's one of the he's like a retro collector. He owns like every freaking he had a damn dev kit PS3
cool
the other day, like that he bought. Like that dude is a hardcore collector. He wants to own everything. Like, and I get that, right? Like I understand that, especially with the way digital gaming, we see games just get taken off things, and you know, we're seeing it now with content being taken off the streaming services, and it doesn't exist at all. So I can understand the whole, like, I don't like the prevalent of a service, but it's like I even offer to give you a free month of something so that I don't have to, because there was a time where, you know, so I have a website, but the website now is basically just exists to make podcast posts. At one point, we did actually try to have it be a website, and I had a staff, and we were actually like, we would get codes for games off of it and everything else. And like, I'm sitting there trying to be like, yo, I need to save money. Let me buy you Game Pass for a month, and you can play this game, review it, and if you don't want to continue it, then don't. He's like, no. And I'm just like, it goes against my code, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's ridiculous. But like, Game Pass has helped so many people get into so many different games, and that's what I love about Game Pass is like, yo, all these games I would never touch because I have to seriously think about, do I have $20 for this? Do I have, you know, 60, 40, whatever? I don't have to think about that. I can just play the game, and man, if I end up loving it, whoa, you know, I'll buy it on my Switch or end up buying it myself when it comes off Game Pass. Like, I don't do that with every game. I get it that, like, oh, well, you're hurting the developer because you could have bought the game instead, but like, how many of these people are never going to even care about the game at all? And the fact that Game Pass exists and lets them know, hey, it's there.
Yeah, or even, you know, games are going up in price. So, like, we talked about EA, you know, doing their little EA Play thing on Game Pass. It's like, ooh, you know, Dead Space Remake was $70 when it came out, but guess what? I mean, it's coming up on time. It's probably going to be on Game Pass soon-ish.
Yeah.
You know, I forget how long they have to be, but like, even, you know, Survivor's been out for a couple months. Like, that's maybe by the end of the year, maybe. I'd have to kind of do more research and, you know, how long it takes EA to do that. But, you know, those two games will be on Game Pass soon.
Yeah. I mean, and like, that's the thing is, like, if you really want that game, go buy it. You know, like, you don't have, if you just, it lets you be more economical with things. Like, I love the fact when, like, they had this idea at Xbox thing, and they did get to announce that Sea of Stars is coming on Xbox Game Pass, because number one, I also do this as well. Like, I don't review a game that I know is coming to Game Pass because I don't feel like I should be asking for a code for something that I'm going to end up paying for this service that I already pay for. Right. So it alleviates me from feeling like, okay, I've got to sit there and get this game early and review and whatever. I'll just play it at my own pace when it comes out. And it's also, they just announced the price. I think it was like, this game's going to be like $35.
That makes sense.
Like,
Indie game.
No, it's a great game. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger is my favorite game of all time. So it having that lineage,
I still want to play.
Obviously helps. Oh.
I need
Square
to play
Enix, that needs
Make it
a remaster
accessible.
like right
Make it
now. Like,
accessible.
dude, I love my 3DS. I think it's great. I don't want to go buy the DS version that's probably like $100 right now.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
Just if you're not going to put it on the Switch Online thing, which I understand, don't, because that is a moneymaker waiting for you to announce it. The moment that game gets announced, Twitter is going to explode. Like, just, I hope that is in development somewhere. Like, I get it that I don't know about a remake, because then you have to get
just a port.
Yeah, that is definitely something you can just make a port. It's still great. It still holds up today.
There's like a PC mobile port. They did that with the Pixel remaster.
If they do like HD 2D of it, that's fine
cool.
too. I don't think it needs a remake, because for one, to try to get the three amigos together again for that is going to be insane. Sakaguchi, Toriyama, and Iwamatsu. Like, it's probably not going to happen. Yeah, like Toriyama's busy with other stuff. They can't even figure out a Dragon Quest 12 right now. So I'm sure the character art's probably not the problem, but I'm just saying, like,
Sand game or whatever too.
Yeah, the Sandlands thing too.
Sandland,
so he's busy, and I'm sure they're still doing some other Dragon Ball Z movie somewhere. So, like, yeah, just port the thing, HD 2D it, whatever. But that thing needs to be on modern consoles like right now. And if it ever does, like, let me know, because I would love to hear what your experience is.
I want to play it.
I'm playing that game day one, but still. So, I guess we totally got off topic, which is what I love about this too. Like, I love doing this, because sometimes you get off on the different tangents.
I can go on any tangent you want.
So, did you read like game mags growing up, or have like gaming sites you went to?
I'll start with the game magazines. I think like a lot of people, probably my age, maybe I got them into a little late, but Game Informer was always a big one for me.
Informer, yeah.
Getting it, because going to GameStop, that was always the place to go. So
exactly,
they were always there. Getting Game Informers, always looking at the covers, kind of seeing what it was. Kind of really maybe not my first, but some of the first, like learning who the reviewer was, and like seeing like, oh, who is this person? Looking, okay, they reviewed this game and this game. It's like kind of gauging a reviewer's taste and seeing how do I agree with that and stuff like that. But in terms of like other stuff, it was really IGN, I think, was the big one for me. Early IGN, mid to late 2000s, Podcast Beyond, and Game Scoop. Still listen to Game Scoop to this day.
Game Scoop's still great, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Damon's
one of my favorites. Love him.
Yeah, the Unlocked, all the IGN ones are good, and they don't like overstay as well. Like, I do appreciate that they just like kind of keep it to an hour and you can move on. As my co-host, he loves Giant Bomb is his, like,
Yeah. Especially old Giant Bomb.
Old Giant Bomb, well, it was mainly like when Jeff was still there. They're doing like, well, they still do the long shows, but it feels like they kind of make an effort not to like overdo it now.
Yeah. I still like the crew there.
Yeah.
I like Grub a lot. I like Jan and Jan a lot, but it's definitely not the same without Jeff. I like Jeff's own show.
Yeah, Jeff's he has his own
show's really good. I haven't been able to listen to Nextlander when they went and did with
Theirs
Vinny.
Is pretty good too.
The problem is it's only on audio, and they have a YouTube channel, and they don't post it to YouTube, and it bothers me.
I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand. So it's like I can't even listen to Nextlander. I love Vinny. Like, I want to hear what Vinny's got to say about all these games. It's been multiple years, and I haven't been able to listen to Vinny. A big one for me is Easy Allies. They've lost a lot of people, but I still think that they're pretty good. I listen to Kind of Funny Games daily. I think really the rest of kind of Funny has really fell off for me pretty hard. I still listen to games daily. Every episode. What else?
Oh, you don't listen to like the Gamecast and
not every now and then I'll listen to one. It depends on the
Yeah.
topic.
right.
Personally, but like a lot of their other stuff has really fell off, But
Yeah.
what other stuff do I even listen to?
There's a lot out there now.
Yeah.
Just like everybody.
I have like a rotation.
Yeah. I listen to What's Good every week.
I
so,
used to.
Yeah.
It hasn't felt the same to me. I think really since Steimer left, even though Andrea is my go-to there.
Right.
Since Steimer kind of left, it hasn't really felt the same to me.
Yeah, I think Rihanna's awesome too. Like, it's just I think it does feel a little bit different. Like,
yeah.
And then also, them having Andrea and Britt having kids has kind of made it to where like, hey, again, like, I talked about
tough.
Real world happens, right? And so like then they're having to be like, okay, well, we're doing the show, but it's pre-recorded, or it's just Britt doing it, but I do appreciate that they're like still trying to do it every week, which that's hard. With having the young kids and again having life and all that. So I think Khalif,
Sacred Symbols.
Yeah,
Sacred Symbols.
Yeah. Khalif's great too with Spawn on Me as well.
Yeah, I never really checked him out.
I definitely would give it a shot just because I love just listening to him sometimes. Just think he has a different perspective on I think gaming than like what you normally get. And I mean that whole thing with them separating him, Greg and Colin, I kind of always felt bad about that. And then like sometimes Colin goes too hardcore on the PlayStation stuff where
Colin's an interesting person because he's definitely one of my favorites to listen to. I think kind of all the Last Stand stuff I really like, actually. Like even Defining Duke and their new show Constellation. Good. Yeah, I love Maddie and Cog.
Yeah.
Colin is an interesting person because I like listening to his analysis on things. I think his game taste could be questionable sometimes.
Yeah.
But his analysis is usually pretty good. I think sometimes I don't want to sound negative about it because I think it's fine. It's just how he is. I think that he can be a little biased sometimes. And I think he is very PlayStation leaning to sometimes it feels like to a detriment. And I think a lot of what's been going on with this Activision Blizzard stuff, I think it's really shown a lot of his bias. And it really feels like he's been hating on Xbox more than ever. And that kind of like, not that I am just an Xbox person. I have everything. Like I play everything.
Yeah, so I do too. So
it's like I don't
like
really
that's the thing too, is it's weird because I get it that he went into game dev and all that stuff, so he has other preoccupations, but it's like his own saying of like, I was always a PlayStation guy, that was my beat, whatever. I never felt the need to look at Xbox or do anything with it. It's like, look, I get it. Greg is not necessarily, but Greg kind of decided, especially once kind of funny, like, okay, I have to broaden my horizons. I have to like play everything. I have to kind of understand a little bit of everything. He still admits, right? Like I'm not a Nintendo guy or I'm not but it doesn't make it to where it's like Colin's almost like, I want to skirt the line as close as I possibly can from almost being I'm feeding into the console warrior side, and it's like
I feel like he doesn't like it, but he's on the edge. And the weird thing is I love Colin so much, but he's such an open-minded person, right? And I always get that from him, and that's what I think I really appreciate about him. But then when it comes to anything that's not PlayStation, it feels like he's not.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, why don't you just open your mind to a different platform?
Weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what do you mean you don't want to play the new Zelda? Like, I don't understand where he comes from with that. I'm like, you just try.
I don't want it. No, I get if you said, okay, look, I just don't like Zelda. I played Zelda before, like, whatever. But it's like, oh no, I just don't want to. Like, it's not PlayStation, so I'm not going to touch it. And it's like, that's just so weird to say when, dude, I get it. Like, Colin has made a lot of enemies in the industry or whatever because he speaks his mind, which I appreciate too, because there's so many people that you get stuck on the, like, which you know,
Being too friendly.
kind of funny goes into that direction where it's like sometimes they're too positive because I think
too shilly. They're shilling a little bit too much. Yeah.
Like I do think, you know, I love Tim. I think Tim's great. He's a great hype man, but sometimes
hype could be too much.
I think he overdid it with the Final Fantasy 16 sometimes. When it's like, look, I like Final Fantasy 16. I think it's great. I don't think it's the second coming of Christ either. Yeah. So like,
you know who I like better with hype is Huber from Easy Allies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Huber. Huber, I think, does a pretty good job of like.
I actually think Bless is actually pretty good about it too. Like Bless is kind of level-headed as well.
Yeah, I like seeing Bless grow more as a host, right? Like we got to see him grow over the past 3 years now. So
and you know who's the shining star that a lot of people, I think Janet, I think, is the best one of everybody.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're bringing up Janet, and that's kind of making me remember another one of my favorite podcasts is MinMax.
Yeah, MinMax is awesome.
I actually like Janet.
With two N's, I'm joking.
With two N's, of course. I actually like Janet more when she does stuff with MinMax.
Okay, fair enough.
I think she kind of has a little bit more of a chemistry with it.
Because, you know, also because I think she brings a different thing because Ben is so like, I'm Mr. Positive. And then he's also like the one that's there to make jokes and whatever. And then Janet kind of brings it back to, yo, wait a minute, what about this? Or like, you know, I love the fact that she'll go on a like Game of the Year thing and she's the one fighting for Horizon Forbidden West for like the whole thing. And like I don't agree with her on that. Too? Yeah, Bravely Default too. Like she has her battles and she figures out her way to fight for that. But we totally went off topic again, and I'm sure people that don't care about like what gaming podcasts we listen to just turned off the whole show. But no, this is why there's timestamps, people. You can hit whatever timestamp that we have in there. So I guess we kind of already talked about like what you listened to, but like what made you go to, I guess, decide to. Did you do anything else before you started Nerdic Gods? And I guess what made you decide, oh, hey, I'm going to start a podcast about gaming?
That's actually a funny story. You know, growing up, like, or even, you know, that kind of mid to late 2000s, or kind of, late 2000s, listening to stuff like that. You know, watching YouTube, I've always been a big Achievement Hunter fan, especially older Achievement Hunter and stuff, even Funhouse. So like watching Let's Plays, actually original Nerdic Gods, like none of the videos are there on the channel anymore, was a Let's Play channel. I actually created Nerdic Gods like 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it was a Let's Play channel with just a group of friends, and we would play, and, you know, I was the only one editing them and, you know, actually doing the actual recording and all that. And, you know, that's what Nerdic Gods started as. And then I don't know what spurred like me wanting to do the podcast. Actually, it just kind of hit me. I think it was kind of late 2019. I kind of hit up the Kind of Funny subreddit. And I was like, hey, would anybody like to do a podcast? At the time, I didn't really have much in terms of setup. I had like a friend's old PC and really old like snowball mic, and that's kind of how I started. So if you look at the very first few episodes of the Nerdic Gods, I don't even have a webcam or nothing.
Yeah, right.
So I think our first episode we did was like, it was right before the pandemic. It was like February, maybe somewhere in February 2020. So it took a few months after I kind of found my co-host Sims and Connor. I made our little Discord, and we kind of were talking and stuff. And then now we've been doing the show for 3.5 years or so, just about, and we haven't missed a week yet.
That's awesome, man. That's great that y'all have had that consistency. I'll be honest, there's times for me where we've missed, or I've had to take time off because I got burnt out or whatever, you know. So that's awesome that you guys have been able to be consistent for all that time. I still wish that Kind of Funny best friends Discord thing would have worked. I I met like all you guys through that, and then thankfully Tucker was able. He already had his thing, and he kind of like took a bunch of people there.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
sucks that
I
that
was
thing
behind
kind
the
of
scenes and all
imploded.
that.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that. Me and
I did
Tucker
not.
were a lot behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I don't. Do you remember the video that we made for that?
yes, I
Discord?
remember.
I was in that
Yeah.
video. Me and Tucker were both in that
Yep.
video. Yeah.
I was in the little meeting that they had where I have the guy from Megadads that
Yes, the
poor
poster.
guy.
Yeah. So I was in there
Yeah.
too, actually. You probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I was talking much in there, but yeah, I was in there too. Yeah, that became.
Yeah, I know. And Sims was talking a lot at that time too.
Yes. Well, it was
remember.
because actually Sims was the one that had that idea for that. If you
Okay, that's right. I do remember that part. He's the
Yeah.
one that initially put out the
Yep.
tweet and everything. Yeah.
And Sims
guys-
let the other guy kind of take over, and then that's when it kind of became an insane thing.
It sucks, man, because I met so many people through there that that's when I was starting to be like, oh, you know what? We could actually make this a show where we have different people on all the time. And I eventually did want to get you guys. Yeah.
I still think that could be a thing that we could still do.
Yeah.
I think that, I think relinquishing control from Sims, I think you probably should have just kept it and maybe leave it a little smaller, not as many different people in there.
Yeah, because it started becoming like where it was like everybody was there to try to promote themselves.
Yes.
And then not actually about like, hey, let's communicate, let's work together. Let's like the whole point was to, yes, we want to be this big, like Cunny Bunny best friends, but also like, hey, work together. Do shows together, and it's like, oh, we're all just gonna try to chase clout, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's supposed to be about networking and friendship, right? But I think the biggest the thing that sours me the most, and it's funny you brought it up. I didn't know you were gonna bring the old Discord thing up, but I think what sours me the most it was kind of the aftermath, and it's kind of what made me kind of not even want to go back to the Kind of Funny subreddit or. I still am there, but I don't go on much. Is like, there's so many people, even in the Kind of Funny community, which maybe it's another reason why I took a step away from Kind of Funny a lot, is that so many people had no idea what we were doing in that Discord and just made assumptions that we were trying to be something we weren't. And it felt like people throwing everyone under the bus, throwing all these different people under the bus, throwing our entire operation under the bus. And it soured me a lot.
Yeah, it just sometimes like we kind of rush to like get out of something, and you're trying to make it was never about what they ended up making about, and it sucked that was the lasting thing that everybody remembers that for. And it's like nobody was trying to forget anyone or make it about something like a race issue or whatever, and then like that's what
a representation issue.
Yeah, representation issue. Like that's the thing, they couldn't accept that it was like, yo, we made a mistake. Like let's go. That's the thing. That's that's the one thing that sometimes I hate about the cancel culture, because yes, there are people that should be canceled. There are people that did terrible things that should be like, we don't talk about them anymore, whatever. But the whole like let's jump on everyone for anything is just so terrible, because if this was 10 years ago, you say, I'm sorry, we made a mistake, we're going to try again. The thing lives on, right? And it could still be a thing. And it sucks because like I kept seeing that and I kept saying, dude, this could be something huge, right? And it made me sad. But sorry, I didn't like, I kind of brought it up just because I was just trying to like get your perspective on it, because I love that thing. But
I love the idea, and I still, like I said, I still think that there is a way to make that work.
Yeah, I think we would all have to kind of like, as I guess just the different groups, right? Because I'm part of like the Carpool Gaming Discord too, and there's some other like all these ones that are out now. I guess like Trophy Room and Expansion Pass and all those guys. See, everybody would have to kind of just decide like, hey, let's all sort of join forces. And I don't know if they would ever do that again, which sucks. But
probably not.
Though all those guys are great though, and gals
I
as
don't really
well,
hold
and
ill will.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah. But looking at, I guess, gaming now, I guess compared to like when you're growing up, like what is that thing that has kind of like made you, I guess, still play games? Like what is that thing that like stands out to you about like gaming today that goes, okay, this is why I play games. I love this,
That's a fascinating question. I would say I like all different aspects of gaming. Like
Right.
I do look for a good narrative, but I don't necessarily always need a great narrative. Like we talked about Bloodborne. I think Bloodborne does have a good narrative, but it is a little more subdued, and you kind of have to piece things together yourself. But I'm also there for Bloodborne for its gameplay. Like it's top tier, some of the best ever. So it's like there are a few aspects there, but I think it's just more of a fascinating medium in general because it encapsulates everything. There are cinematics like movies. There is reading like books. There's gameplay that other mediums you can't do. You're interacting with this thing, right? Like this is an interactive, story or an interactive toy, unlike anything else. And I think it just constantly fascinates me all the different games we get and how I don't know, gaming's just exploding and it's really cool to see.
I love that. I love the fact that we have so many different kinds of games. There are subgenres of literally if you want old Doom style shooter, there are games for that. There are games for like anything that you want. There's a list that you can go down. And that to me is amazing that growing up, we're like, okay, this is what gaming is. I don't know that it's really going to get when it starts to go online and you playing with other people you don't know, and like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like the Wii takes it to a different level where it's like you get everybody playing, and then, but now it's like this is like movies. This is like music. There's a game for everyone, right? And that's so cool that you can literally say like you could talk about games with almost anyone and somebody's played something, right? Whereas like growing up, it's like, oh, don't go near that guy. That's all he did. Like you had your little subset of people that like, okay, y'all play games or whatever. But like now it's not I guess maybe to the comic book level or maybe like everybody watches this one movie or TV show or whatever, but it's getting to that point where somebody plays a game on a phone or somebody plays anything and like, hey, yeah, I've heard of that, right? And that's what's awesome. Like, and that's, again, I forgot to bring this up, but one of the biggest thing Xbox wanted was to get King, right? And now they're in mobile. I don't really play mobile games that much. Like me, the most I played a mobile game is me playing Ever Crisis this week because of the beta thing.
I played around like original like iTunes or like the App Store days. Like I can go on a diatribe about mobile, and like mobile gaming I think has really put a strain on the industry. I think it's one of the most, between mobile and kind of free to play in general, I think have been very detrimental to the industry. I think that it's negatively affected so many aspects, especially monetization. I think even just how you play games, like with timers, and like, I just think that they're just very weird. Even gambling like things.
I go through the gotcha stuff. It's Genshin Impact and so it's absolutely insane to me sometimes that like they really got people with this because it's still happening. There's still new games coming out. People are still getting grabbed. Well, like Honkai Star Rail came out and like there was a gazillion downloads and things that console games wish they could have, but because mobile is just so accessible, right? But that's what I do appreciate about the cloud. I can be in a doctor's office with my daughter. I can pull out my phone. I can play a Game Pass thing on it for the hour that I'm there, And I may not touch my phone again when it comes to gaming, but I do appreciate that it is available, right?
The nice thing about xCloud there, though, is
yeah.
then you're playing on your phone,
Yeah.
at the office, whatever, or at the doctor's office, and you come home, you have your save, boom, you pop on your console,
Keep playing,
and you just
exactly.
keep playing. You have your same save.
Keep playing.
So like that's what they want for you right there, right?
That's that is nice about modern gaming. Like there's just the cloud thing. Your save is there. You can take it wherever you want. Same thing with PS Plus with the remote plays. So, yeah, I just love the fact that like gaming is just like there for everybody. And I love to see that keep growing. I do like Microsoft's vision in that way of like go to where the people are. Don't try to make everybody freaking buy a box that look, I'm not, there are kids growing up to play games, but I bet you most people will tell you that their kids still want to play the game on the phone
or their iPad.
on the iPad, exactly. They're not grabbing the controller and playing on the console. That's the thing that, us like millennial was probably about like that's the peak, right? Like that's what they're saying, like that the console, that's why everybody's always talked about, okay, the console's got a life that since like the PS3, they've been saying, okay, this is the last one. It keeps selling. It keeps selling crazy numbers. But which one's the one that's selling more crazy numbers? The Switch, because you can take it anywhere.
Because I think it's the handheld side of Nintendo.
It's
not
the handheld.
Exactly.
It is the handheld side.
Yeah. It's that they were like, well, we're dying on the console side. We need to get that handheld audience and put them together because
because when
company.
their consoles, I mean, the Wii sold, but the Wii was because it was so
everything
special.
else was been down over.
But what did sell? The 3DS, the DS, right? Because you could take it wherever you want. And that's the thing. Like, Sony's doing that Project Q thing, and we talked about the keynote not being, if that thing is more than $150, that thing is going to tank bad, because then it becomes, who's spending $200 when you already have to have the PS5 to play it?
I think 100 is pushing it.
Yeah, exactly. To me, when you take it out of the 100, which they're going to charge more because the fact that it does 1080p and it's a screen and
it's already a niche product though.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like, who is this for? I don't know. Like somebody that like, there are people like that. That's me. I have to do a lot of things remote play because family wants to watch a TV or kid wants to do something with the TV. So I'm when Greg Miller's sitting there talking about how much he loves remote play, that's me too. But if you're gonna tell me that thing costs $200, I'm not buying that. But that's the reason why the Steam Deck exists now. The ROG Ally exists because people want to play not sitting in front of their TV and not in front of the computer. They want to play sitting on the couch, whatever, doing something. So that's also like an amazing thing that we're seeing. Like, let's make gaming even more accessible for more people playing games. The whole thing explodes even more. I mean, eventually it's going to get to the point where obviously it can't go up anymore, but let's enjoy what it is right now, I guess. That being said, is there anything you want to say about like what you've been playing or?
I think last week I finally beat Zelda. It took a long time for my busy schedule. But yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah.
When you think the game ends, there's another bit to it. And I'm like,
oh, no.
I thought this was the end of the game. How are you going to give me another like sixth of the game? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this game so much. It's an all-time great. But like, okay, I think it's time to end the game. And then, it wasn't too long, but yeah, that ending sequence
better than Breath of the Wild for you?
Yes.
Okay.
I think in every way. I think the only way that it is not better than Breath of the Wild is kind of the newness and the new factor.
Okay.
Like it being like, oh, it's the first to open world. It's the first to kind of allow you to do whatever you want. It's the first to fly, to climb everything. I think without that new factor that Breath of the Wild had in changing the game, I think everything else, Tears of the Kingdom is better. I think the story's better. I think the tools that you get are much better. They're more fun. The only one I miss is that stasis thing where you like can hit an item for Breath of the Wild where you hit that thing and it just flies. I always love the stasis, but
So that, I guess that was going to be my next question. As somebody that I wasn't the biggest fan of Breath of the Wild because I'm like one of those people that I need a little bit of direction. I don't like the whole drop me in a world and like do whatever thing. And I kind of just felt lost a lot. And then I wasn't like, I love the 2D Zeldas, but like 3D Zeldas weren't always like something that I gravitated towards. So I don't know. I've never sat there and just like, okay, I don't care. I'm going to try to do this, like dedicate myself. I probably could have. Do you think that Tears of the Kingdom maybe solves some of that, or no, it's the same?
no, no. They want you to play at your own pace, and if you don't like that, like that's just I don't think it's really going to be for you. Like they want you to kind of get shrines at your own pace. Like I played this game very similar to Breath of the Wild, where my goal was I am going to unlock the map. I'm going to get every tower, and then along the way get the shrines, right? And then I'm going to evaluate and see what I need to do. Because then, it's in Breath of the Wild, you got the 4 divine beasts that you need to go tackle. This kind of has something similar where you have the 4 different sections to go tackle that are on the map. So I did play that similarly. If that's not really how you like to play with, allowing yourself a little bit of guidance, they do guide you with some things in quests, but I don't think it really varies that much. At least with guidance.
But, I mean, I'm glad to hear that you like loved it and that
it's awesome.
It's anything else aside from Zelda?
Yeah, so I beat that and I've put maybe 6 hours or so into Final Fantasy 16. I don't really want to say too much where I am without spoiling. I don't know if I can.
I don't think it's really I mean, everybody knows which ones are the icons. So
okay, I have fought the Garuda icon.
Okay, so you're there. That's basically the end of the demo, sort of.
Okay.
Like
so
you fought the icon. So you beat Benedicta like herself, which is the end of the demo.
I fought the icon,
and then you fought like her as the icon. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know where you are.
I've done both
still
those
pretty
fights.
early.
I went to, I think it's Martha's Rest. Is that the name of that area? I'm past kind of that a little bit there.
Okay. So you're still pretty early on, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the side quests there are not not anything to write home about at all. It's they get better. The thing is, like, it's again, this is where you get the whole who made it, because it's very much like an MMO. It's built on the quests start they don't vary from the 3 things that you see in most RPGs, which the fetch quest, the go fight this monster or go save these people or whatever. It's the fact that there's like narrative in between that like they build on each other. So like, oh, you did this person's quest. Well, later he remembers that you did that and you're going to do something else for him later. Right. It's stuff like that. It's like, does that move you enough to want to keep doing them? That's how they actually are good. It's the narrative part. I wouldn't say that whatever you do in those quests is, whatever. But so I don't know how you are with that kind of thing about narrative with side quests. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know that doing that is ever like, you're not going to feel the need to do a bunch of those. But the problem is you might want to go use the guide at some point, because there are story bits. If you end up liking some of because you don't have a party in this game, the characters that are sort of in your party, they are fleshed out through side quests.
Okay. Is it more like loyalty missions, or you're just kind of doing something for them?
It has like a little bit of a branch. So you're doing something, then doing something else, then eventually it goes back to that character, and then they have a conversation with you and you learn things about them that you don't get in the main story, right? Or because you've experienced the main story with them to that point, it's like it gives you like a aha moment, or like oh, this is why I love this character kind of moment. Gotcha. So I would kind of go seek those out. but maybe not do like the go giving somebody food thing. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Connor from my podcast, he told me to do one side quest in particular, which I don't know where it is, and I don't think I've gotten it yet or seen it. Is the Chocobo
I
one?
listened to that episode. That
Okay.
was the Chocobo one. Definitely, you got to do the Chocobo one.
Yeah, have I gotten there yet?
No, I think that's further on. But I would go look up the name of the quest.
Okay.
So when you do see it, because you can do the whole before you go to each little node that pops up with the city, you can tell what quest is there.
Okay.
I would go find the name of it and then make sure you do it, because you're eventually going to get tired of running with Clive. Having the Chocobo helps you get across the map a lot faster. So even though he does that thing where he speed runs eventually, if you keep pressing
it takes a second though.
Yeah, it takes like 10 seconds. Like, I don't know why they didn't just put a sprint button, like you said.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like, we have to watch him walk for like 10 seconds. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, he just goes. I'm like, what? No, but still, the Chocobo's still faster because the Chocobo actually has a sprint button.
Okay.
So, like, and you'll know when you get to something important because the Chocobo will stop running. Like, you have to get off the Chocobo. So, you can actually fight the little small enemies with the Chocobo. You can actually like kick at them with the Chocobo and stuff.
Oh, that's
kind of
cool.
Funny. But like when you get to like something that's actually important, it'll make you get off the Chocobo. You'll know that you got to the point, whatever. So yeah, there's some. I think he mentioned the one with the little girl.
He did. I don't know if did he say I should do that one? I don't remember.
That one you should do because it kind of really gives you some perspective on that story that they're trying to tell with the bears and the slavery or whatever.
Okay.
So like, yeah, definitely I would. And that's the thing too. Like, that's the problem with the side quests, right? Is that eventually it becomes a Final Fantasy game, and the side quests kind of are the things that keep telling that story of that. So if that theme, which I think that's like, I don't know how far some of these people that commented, which look, I think they're Ash Parrish and I can't think of her name right now. They're both fantastic writers. I actually love them. I think they do great pieces on things. I wonder how did they do all the side quests? Like, was that just not enough for them? But like, I get it in a way. Like, you want that to kind of continue on in the main quest, but you do keep getting that knocked on your head about the whole bear thing compared to other people and whatever. So like, I don't totally agree with the whole, they just forgot that halfway through. No, so it far, just hurt. Yeah,
I'm not sure what you're necessarily referring to.
I'm trying to be vague so that I'm not spoiling stuff for you. Yeah.
No. I mean, outside of the game, I'm not sure the writers that you were referring to too much.
They're basically referring to the whole point of saying that, like, you're trying to tell this big old theme about slavery, but then you forget about it.
I mean, they've been beating it over my head so far.
Yeah. So like, that's where I disagree, because it does continue. It just doesn't continue in the main quest because eventually it needs to become a Final Fantasy game. Yeah. So like, eventually the game has to get bigger, has to get grander. It's an RPG. God. Yeah, like you're gonna fight God. So,
you always do at the end of every JRPG.
So, exactly. So like, that's the point, is that you're not going to keep focusing on this thing that doesn't really have to do with that part of it, because this is also Clive's story at the end of the day. And like that, even though Clive he gets marked or whatever, he's not necessarily a bearer. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the game, I guess, in general?
I think it's pretty great so far. I think the combat is very fun. It hasn't really. I think I just need maybe more abilities and stuff. It's definitely not like Devil May Cry 5. I know this is the same combat director. I think Devil May Cry 5, is pretty good right off the jump. I think it took a little bit for where I am to like really get some abilities and kind of get it going. Like, I'm starting to see where it's going to go with more switching with the icon powers. Having the wind one now, I can kind of see, do some of Ifrit's, or not Ifrit, what's the Phoenix powers or whatever.
Yeah,
and then switching immediately to the Garuda's powers, and then kind of interchanging these abilities, like I could see where that's going to go in the future. So right now, I think or at least it started a little slow, but I'm starting to,
Yeah, that's
understand
my
it.
one issue that I had with the combat is that it takes a little bit too long to get going, like where it feels really fun, right? Because you max out the amount of icons you have, and you can just keep switching through them and stuff.
How many do you
Because
get? Or at least switchable really quickly.
3. So
Okay.
the problem is like where you are, it takes a bit to get to the next one.
Okay.
So you're going to have to kind of deal with the ones you got for a while. Once you get to that guy, then you start getting them a bit more frequently.
Okay.
Right? Well, I think you get one before him, but it takes a while. So that was my only problem. And I think there was somebody that talked about it. They'll mention that the one summon from Final Fantasy that's not in this game, they do mention him a couple of times, is Leviathan. So the water one. So I wonder if he was supposed to be there in between the part where there's a long section where you don't get another icon to kind of break that up, and they just didn't have time. Which also makes people
there's
think
always cut stuff, so it could
they're also making people think that that's also DLC, but I guess we'll
they
see.
said
They
no
said
DLC
that
for this game.
they said no DLC, but come on, man.
15 had like 7 DLCs.
As long as they don't do 15s, because that is still a travesty to me. Like, I loved all those little side stories, and I hate the fact that we didn't get it till the end. That's how we were gonna actually get the ending of the game, was go through the rest of the damn side. We didn't get Luna's, which that's what I was waiting on. Yeah, like Noct didn't get. That's how they were going to end the game. Was you're going to get Luna, and then you're going to get one for Noct, and then that ends it. And it's like, dude, Luna needed that because she is so underdeveloped in the entire game, and
I still like 15. I never actually played any of those, but I do like.
I like 15 too, and I played it with the original chapter 13 that sucked, right? Like and I watched the movie and the anime.
I've seen
which those are great, honestly. But that it kind of sad that they had to tell the story. Like, you wouldn't know jack about the characters if you didn't watch the anime. So it's like, I get that there's probably not enough time for you to put that in the game, but it sucks that like they made you have to do all this other stuff to get this story. And if you don't get the like special edition that has the movie in it, you have no idea that there's a movie. So yeah, they just which the movie's cool because I love the fact that it ends basically at the beginning of the game. But yeah, it's just I hate the fact that they went this like multimedia route and then kind of forgot that we need to tell the story in the game.
That was kind of that era though.
Yeah. They also had the development hell with that game. So it got to a point where they just had to be like, okay, we're gonna put this out, and that's it. But yeah, I'm glad to hear you're liking it.
Yeah, it's
at least
very fun, very fun. I'm more excited for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, but I need to see where this combat system for 16 goes. I'm excited for it. Like, I adore Final Fantasy 7 Remake's combat system.
Oh, I love that
and
too.
I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in Rebirth. And right now, I just think that should just be Final Fantasy's combat system. Period.
I will say that I agree with you there. I just don't want them to get. I love the fact that Final Fantasy changes every time.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So I don't have a problem with them making this different because I played all of them. I appreciate we got past the Super Nintendo. Well, we got past the PS1, PS2 era, and they really did try to start changing the combat. I get it why they really couldn't before, but even then they had systems that were different, right? 8 to me is still it's annoying the fact that you have the junction system and all that stuff. But that's the thing is I love the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake decided to go the route that they did. With that kind of dual, it's going to be weird to go back to that now after 16 went full action. So like I'm thinking about just putting 7 remake in and replaying that a little bit just to kind of like refresh myself on like
Get a feel for it. Yeah.
because the full action combat, there was times where I kind of wanted that. Like, okay, I just want him to freaking just slash him a bunch of times like Kingdom Hearts. And I have to press the menu to do it. But then you remember it's still Final Fantasy VII. So either way, yeah, I'm excited for Rebirth as well, just because I love those characters and everything. 9's actually my favorite one.
Okay,
but
I do want to play 9.
I would definitely tell you to play 9 just because it is a loving ode to what Final Fantasy used to be, but then also still has the PS1 Final Fantasy stuff in it as well. So, and then it has the total like Final Fantasy shit where like stuff goes crazy.
Yeah,
and I love that. I love those characters as well. So,
I want to play 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
8, 9, 10. Those are the
ones. So okay. So you're like Tucker. You got a few that you gotta
Yeah.
I definitely want to hear y'all's thoughts when y'all get to those. If y'all do or whatever.
It's gonna be a while.
It's interesting to see like Tucker going through that now, like just him deciding that he wants to go back and play all that.
Yep,
so
16 did to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I said about Village. Like it's cool that you get that game that makes you want to go back and like, oh, let me explore this, But yeah, it's cool that you are enjoying it. I'm pretty much at the end. I'm just side quest smorgasbord that they plop on you at the end there. So I'm trying to go through all that, and then I'm gonna fight the boss to get to the ending. I've really enjoyed the story. I don't. Could they have done better with some of the characters? Yeah, probably. I'm not going to disagree with a lot of people's sentiments there. I love the combat. I thought the combat's been great. It stays great throughout. Does it ever get super difficult? No. But I think that that's fine for. We got to remember this is still a Final Fantasy game, and they didn't want it to be. You have I can't remember the name of the game right now. You have the Strangers of Paradise if you want a little bit harder Final Fantasy. Yeah. Like you have that if you want sort of a bit more difficult combat system with a Final Fantasy name on it. This is still like the mainline entry. I think this is cool for like they could use this combat system again in another Final Fantasy game, and maybe they amp up the difficulty there or something. But I think that they probably shouldn't have gated the hard mode or whatever. Probably not. But that's your. I guess if you don't want to get through the story because it's too easy for you, or whatever, I can kind of understand that. But
giving
overall,
people options is always
giving people options is always to
whether
me.
That's both easy and hard. Give people options.
I don't understand the point of gating it behind beating the game.
Yeah,
like Kingdom Hearts does the same thing, and I'm just kind of like, why?
Yeah, Devil May Cry 5 did the same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I get people saying like, well, Devil May Cry 5 is like 15 hours. This game's like at least
very true.
So,
very true. Yes.
Like this, but I do think that the story holds up. Like the icon fights are freaking amazing. They get even more amazing as they go on.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, like that's the thing. If you wanted this turn-based combat that makes you think strategically all the time and all that, whatever, I can totally understand people that are mad about that. The one thing that's jarring for me is the element stuff. The element stuff, it took me a while to not get bothered by the fact that I'm fighting one of those bombs and I'm using the Phoenix power, which is all fire, and it's doing damage and not like getting huge and about to kill me. It was just jarring from being a Final Fantasy fan of like, I don't know why that would have been so difficult for them to like still have the elemental stuff and still allow you to, if you're not going to have us actually have MP for the magic, like, I don't know why, if you have the icons have different elements, why that didn't come into play, because that's kind of important in a way.
Maybe there's just too many of them. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But that was my only thing that kind of bothered me. Aside from the equipment stuff, kind of doesn't really, it doesn't really evolve much. So I'm sure you've heard people talk about like it's light on RPG elements. Yeah. So like a lot of the RPG stuff is kind of very small. It's very like barely there because they had to include some of that stuff, which I understand. So I do agree with that sentiment of maybe pick a side, like either do a little bit more with the RPG stuff or just say, look, this is not in the game, but it's still a Final Fantasy game because it has all this other stuff in it. So that I do kind of agree there with some of that. But as somebody that put 90 hours in Octopath Traveler 2, it was also kind of refreshing that I didn't need to have like 5 different kinds of armor on and all this other stuff too, So
Yeah.
There is that kind of trade-off with that they kind of just like streamlined it and said, look, just play this game, enjoy it for what it is. And I appreciate that too. So hopefully you keep enjoying it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm going all the way with the game. Like there's nothing really new coming out. I don't think right now. So I got
unless you're a
until
Pikmin
Starfield for me.
Yeah.
That's kind of the next thing. So that's I have a little ways.
Yeah.
No, Armored Core. I kind of want to play Armored Core. I forgot about that. So I got about
I'm kind of interested a little bit too. I've not really played that much of the other Armored Core games.
I haven't either. It's just I'm a From boy now, From Software boy now. So it's like I got to play From Software now.
No, that's good. Like support the devs that you like.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the other thing I'll mention, just because I already mentioned it a little bit, I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we still got to do the big topic, and we've already been in here for 2 hours. Is the Ever Crisis beta is happening right now? I think it's for the rest of the month. I'm not totally sure. So, there's going to be people that are interested because it does kind of have the whole compilation of Final Fantasy VII in it, but it's also a mobile game. So
I'm not gonna
play. it's also a gacha mobile game. So, what I will say is it looks like what they did is the story parts of Final Fantasy VII are sectioned off from the gacha stuff. So like you can play now the beta for Final Fantasy VII, it stops at once you beat Reno in the church. So you don't get to do the whole game in this beta, but you get to do a good enough part of it that you can kind of get the gist of what it is. I do think that like the thing is, it's weird. It's like, I don't know if this is for people that haven't played Final Fantasy VII, because you're basically getting bite-sized portions of the most important stuff, right? You're not having to walk around at all trying to find anything. You're basically getting every single important story part and then some side thingies in little chunks. And so you do get to walk around when you do the Mako reactor stuff, but you're not like going through the entire Mako reactor.
Okay.
You don't have to go all the way back for the timer part. It just goes, right? It like
real streamlined.
It kind of like, it's really streamlined. And I thought the gameplay is actually kind of decent, but the problem is like if you ever turn on auto battle, once you turn on the auto battle, you're not going to want to go back to doing it yourself.
You just
the auto battle is actually pretty decent. So, but it actually does have like a thing where you switch between stances so that when the thing does its big attack, you switch the defensive stance so it doesn't hit you as hard. You can die. I've died because I didn't pay attention to the fact that I had to cure Barrett or whatever. Because if like let's say when you start Cloud Dilemma, they can do cure. You can customize so that's another thing too. Like a lot of this stuff's customizable, so you can customize each character and give them materia and enhance their weapons and do all that stuff that you would do in the RPG. But that stuff's also tied to the gacha part. So like you're rolling for the weapons and you can get like, legendary or whatever rare or and then you can then use those same like gold or the draw stuff that you have to then enhance it to a certain level, which makes it to where they're more powerful, obviously. Because when you go into each little section of the story, it'll have like a party power level that you need to have. And the power level is determined by the weapons you have equipped and the material level and all that stuff. So you do gain levels, you do gain experience. They level up by themselves, but where it goes into the gacha system is you have to upgrade the weapons, you have to upgrade the materia. So that's the thing, that like they're being very nice to you in this beta because they want you to experience the whole game. But I bet when they take all that stuff off and you play the game again, they're not going to be as nice because they're going to want you to buy
stuff. They got to make money.
Right?
How about the money?
You do also get a big chunk of Crisis Core, which that one is not that interesting to me because I just played Crisis Core in full in December, January. So like playing that again, where that game is pretty much, they look, so basically in battle, the characters all look like they were in Crisis Core.
Cool.
They don't look as good as Remake, but they look basically like as if Tifa, Cloud, and Barrett were in Crisis Core.
I mean, that seems good enough.
Yeah, that's still really good. That's still really good for, and they stylized the character portraits a little bit, so they don't look exactly like the blocky versions of. They're like cleaned up a bit. They look nicer, like more animated, or whatever. It's still text or whatever, and they do have some voiceovers stuff for the battles. I don't know if they're going to end up having English voiceover or not. This is all Japanese in this. And then they also have the third part of the beta is that first soldier thing that Square-Enix killed because it didn't do well.
No.
So I never played that game at all, so I don't know how that's going to go when I get to that point. But playing through the Final Fantasy VII stuff was fun, at least. Which I have never. I always get to a certain point of Final Fantasy VII, and then I drop off because other games happen. I think the farthest I've ever gotten is to that, the scene that everybody knows about that I don't want to talk about.
Of course. Spoilers.
And a little bit beyond that, I think. And then that's, I think, the farthest I've ever gotten. I never actually beaten the game because, again, like I said, I always fall. One of these times I'm going to do it. I know. Or maybe I'm just going to experience in a rebirth or whatever. I don't know. But
so is Dirge of Cerberus in this?
That's going to probably be in it. Okay. But remember, they're like, basically like every month they're going to be adding Final Fantasy VII original, Crisis Core stuff. So I think once they get past all of that, or I don't know if they're going to have a separate team just be adding Dirge of Cerberus stuff at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work. I think it probably all is going to depend on how much money they make off of this, which considering how much they make off of, Brave Exvius and all the other ones that are there, this thing's going to make bank because it's Final Fantasy VII and it actually looks really good too. So I'll be very surprised if they tell us that they're disappointed in the numbers for this. Or they do almost everything else.
I mean, it's Square.
Yeah. I guess maybe not be surprised. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've kind of been playing. I've been trying to like get through 16 so I can review it and kind of move on to the next thing. But that kind of brings me up to what we're doing here because it's the end of June. We're 6 months through the year now. We're in July. Everybody's kind of doing their best games of the year so far kind of thing. And well, because you got everybody has their game of the year awards. Jeff Keighley has his big old game awards at the end of the year. We're all kind of keeping tabs for that stuff. So it's kind of interesting to kind of look at the midway point, what you think are like the top games that you would put on your list for game of the year. And then we'll kind of talk about some games that you haven't played yet, maybe that you still want to play. And then I guess some games that you're looking forward to before that year is done. So like, what is your, I guess, top 5?
Does that have to be in order?
No. It doesn't have to be in order.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be in order.
I had brought my notepad. So this is my notebook here that since think it was 2017. I've written down every single game that I've beaten.
Wow.
So it has to be beaten. So any like Overwatch, anything multiplayer, I don't beat. So this year has been very light. Like I've only beaten, I think about 11 games, which is not to my level really normally.
Okay. So are you saying that you have to beat the game to consider it a game of the year? Is that what
no. I was just going because I had my list here.
Okay.
But I do want to say to be into my consideration. Like this is, I bring this to us as the Nerdic Gods all the time, and like I let it be a discussion because it's not just me. But for me personally, remaster remake is unacceptable on a top 10 list of a certain year. I think it seems cheating to me. So
I usually allow remake but not remaster.
That's fair. I mean, It is just me, but for me, it's like it's built off of something. I would rather be celebrating something new in the year.
No, I can understand that. Yeah.
So Resident Evil 4 remake and Dead Space, I'm not going to put on. Really, the weird one, and I still haven't decided, is Like a Dragon Ishin. It being first in the West, but it being out for
that's different though, because unless you port it,
that's
you
where
can't really play it. You know,
but I'll start in order. That's kind of why I wanted this, so I can start in order of what I've beaten. This game's gonna be very high on my list by the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still top 5. It's number 2 for me probably right now, but it's Hi-Fi Rush. It is super charming. It is a Tango Gameworks game, which they really do horror, and for it to be a basically Saturday morning cartoon meets an anime meets Scott Pilgrim versus the world. It's a great game. Hack and slash game, rhythm game, which is a very weird combo, but it works, and they make it work somehow. I feel like Hi-Fi Rush is going to be overlooked by the end of the year, and I'm going to be very disappointed when it does.
Yeah, that's what sucks about your game coming out in January.
Yeah.
A lot of people, unless you're Elden Ring, where you're talked about the entire year, look what happens to Horizon, right? But no, I agree with you. Hi-Fi Rush is on mine as well. As somebody that loves rhythm games, and then you throw in action, which is another one of my favorites, and the fact that I don't have to be on the rhythm all the time. I try, but there's times where it just don't work. And then you bring in the story and the characters, which are great, and it has a cat, which is cool, and then
808, shout out to 808.
808 is awesome. That's another thing that's awesome about 16 is Torgal is definitely the best.
Torgal is great too.
So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush for me was an absolute surprise, and I love the fact that it's a shadow drop game that nobody had a lot of, nothing. You didn't know what to think about this game, and then it's an absolute awesome hit, and I'm so happy for Tango Gameworks that they were able to do something different, and it paid off.
Yeah. So I guess the next one would be Ishin. Like a Dragon Ishin's going to be a weird one. I'm not going to put that in this top 5, but that is kind of maybe number 6 if I were to do that. I guess my next one would be because I haven't really beaten that many this year. I guess I'll have to give it to Hogwarts Legacy probably. Okay. It probably won't stay in my top 10. I would assume there's just a lot of games coming up, but I would say Hogwarts. A lot of people like that game.
Yeah,
I think it promised a lot going in, and I think a lot of people assumed that it wouldn't make any of those promises. Being this big open world, allowing you to be any of the 4 houses, create a character. Like, what's the narrative going to be? How do you have a story without the story that already existed and stuff? Being in the past, but it does everything very well. It allows you to explore Hogwarts really like you haven't before, and that's any fan would really love that. And the game is huge too. It's probably bigger than it needs to be. They honestly could have got away with really shrinking it, let it be Hogwarts, maybe the town outside Hogsmeade, and maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit of Forbidden Forest, and that's kind of it. That's all it could have been, but it is a huge game with a lot to do. That Avalanche team really impressed me, and I think the sequel to this game was probably going to be really impressive.
Yeah, it's definitely lived up to the sales numbers.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the best-selling game, right?
Right.
This year, I think, except for the previous Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly. It is right now. It's Zelda's number 2, and then Hogwarts is number 1 right now. So, I mean, yes, it's obviously selling because it's got Harry Potter in the name, but that game is living up to what people wanted. Yes, there's people naysaying it for reasons and other things, but the fact that it went beyond those expectations is pretty awesome too.
Yeah. The next game, Star Wars Jedi. I have to get the title right because it's always a weird title. Because the name of the series is Star Wars Jedi. It's Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I love the first game, and somehow Survivor, I think, surpassed it. Like, I think a lot of the relationships are better. I love Cal and Marin's relationship. Seer is great in the game. Grease is also improved, I think. They improved in the combat. I think they improved in exploration. I think it gets a little iffy when you start exploring the open world planet. I actually kind of forget the name of that planet. What's the name of that planet? I don't remember. Whatever that main open planet is. It gets a little weird. It's a little too big in that planet. I kind of liked the little more linear of the planets in the first game. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I have 2 lightsabers over there. So yeah, I was very excited. It was one of my most anticipated for the year. So it definitely landed it for me. Did you play Star Wars?
I still haven't played the first one. That's one of those that, like, because of the whole, I have to keep moving along. I've like keep saying, okay, I'm gonna play this game, and then something else comes out, and I don't. It's always the one that I'm like, okay, I'm done with whatever I needed to do. I'm gonna go play this, and then, yeah, just that's my problem with liking indies a lot too. Is that there's always an indie that comes out, and I'm just like, damn it, this thing hooked me, and now I can't go back and play the big game that I wanted to play. So
for me, it's been the opposite because I am usually Mr. Indie on my podcast. Yeah, indies, because of this year, has just been, they've all gone to the wayside, and that's sad.
Oh, I feel I'm with you on that. There's been so many big games that somebody brings up an indie, and I'm like, I don't know when I'm ever going to touch that because there's like 5 other games I'm supposed to be playing instead of that. So, yeah.
And then the next one, obviously, we talked about a little bit ago, is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Of course.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's probably my number 1 right now. That's it. Not much more to say about that game. It's just incredible. And then I guess my number 5 then would be Street Fighter 6. Obviously, it's not a game you could beat, so it's not on my list. Right. I guess I did all the arcade for every character, if that counts. Yeah. So I got credits for all those or whatever. But
got all the second costumes.
Do you get a costume for beating all the arcade stuff?
No, I think if you defeat the story mode or something with all of them.
Oh, I think that's the other mode.
Yeah.
The what is that one called?
The World. Yeah, the World Tour mode. Yeah.
World Tour, that's what it's called. Yeah, I didn't do World Tour. I did the arcade mode where you're doing 5 fights for every character.
Oh, okay.
Very Mortal Kombat going up the towers. It's kind of similar to that. Yeah, Street Fighter 6 is awesome. It plays great. It looks fantastic. The very graffiti art style that they went with is so visually.
I love the soundtrack of that game too.
The soundtrack is so cool. I'm a big hip hop fan. I love the hip hop vibe it's got. Yeah, I'm a Cammy's probably my go-to. Cammy and Ken, those are probably my 2 favorites.
So, yeah, I know another person that's a big Ken. I mean, I'm glad that Capcom was able to come back with this after 5 was such a disappointment.
Yeah.
So that's one of the I'm weird with fighting games. I have certain fighting games that I've always. I'm really good at Dead or Alive and Soul Calibur, and then the other ones not so much. But Street Fighter, because it was the one that I played as a kid with my friends, and I always have a little bit of partiality to the characters. So it's I always wind up picking it up on sale, even if I don't play it that much. So I know I'm going to wind up playing this a little bit at some point. But glad to hear it's good. Anything else you want to mention?
I guess my honorable mention would be what was it? I guess Ishin would be one of them.
Okay.
Honorable mention. It was a game I really didn't talk too much about what you've been playing because it's been really on and off. Is I've been playing Diablo 4 co-op.
Okay.
So it's just an on and off one. Until I beat it, I don't really want to say, how I feel too much. But right now, I'm having a great time. I'd say that's an honorable mention. And here's an honorable mention that you probably haven't heard a lot of people talk about, and I love the first game. And there's a sequel that came out this year. I'm going to look at it because I need to get the exact title. It's Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly.
I love the first game. I still got to play the second one.
The second one is just as good. It's just as good. If you love it, there's just more drinks you can make, and it's a nice visual novel, more characters. They have returning characters. It's just really great.
Actually, that's thank you for the wonderful segue. The first game I'm going to mention is probably the only indie game that I've really spent a lot of time with because I had to review it. Is another game made by the same studio, A Space for the Unbound, which is same Toge Productions. It is freaking great. I
actually don't understand. I haven't played it.
It's the story is hard hitting. It'll make you get some feelings, for sure. It really is about the story because it's an adventure game. There's puzzles and people you have to know. You got to talk to this person and there's a little bit of Ace Attorney stuff in there too, where you're like having to figure out the part where you gotta the puzzle is trying to figure out where you're supposed to stop the person from talking, and like it's cool. I really loved it because it's so unique, like the way that they tell the story, what it's about, like all the different themes in there, just is so well done. So like I definitely would encourage you to I would play this one.
Okay.
If you love Coffee Talk and Coffee Talk 2, it's on that same par for me.
Good. With them. Okay. Yeah. That's a good recommendation then. I own the game. I just have not been able to get to it.
Yeah, I got to a point where I was like, man, I don't know. And then I listened to this the Rock Paper Shotgun. They have an indie podcast. And they were talking about it for a while, and they're like, you know what? They were at the same point like me. They're like, I don't know if I want to keep on this. And then they push through, and they're like, oh my God, the story. And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. And then when I got to the end, I was like, oh, okay. I totally get it for that. Hi-Fi Rush, you mentioned that's one of mine. Just love that game. Being a Final Fantasy fan, and the fact that I absolutely love these games, I have both the 3DS ones. So you're going to tell me that you're going to put Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line on the Switch, and I'm not going to play that freaking thing? I'm still hoping that they're going to add 16 music, because that's one thing that they nailed for 16.
Do those games usually get DLC?
They have a lot of DLC, actually. They just put Chrono Trigger music in there.
Oh, they might then.
So I'm hoping that they're going to keep, because that stuff was all laid out at the beginning, like all this other stuff, because that's been in the other 3DS games before. So they're not really adding, other than like Nier Automata and some other ones, like a lot of the DLC that's in there is been in the other 3DS games. So it's not anything like totally new. So I'm hoping that, because there's 14 music in there, I'm hoping that they add more 14 music from the other expansions, because 14 music, I don't play 14 because I don't have the time. But no doubt that the music is awesome. And I'm hoping that they do add 16. I don't know how well it sold. I'm hoping it sold decently well, but yeah, so Theater Rhythm for me, it's got the best music, and the rhythm gameplay is actually pretty good. So totally one for me on that. And I would say that that's my honorable mention. I am going to mention Resident Evil 4 Remake here because I think it's great.
It's so good.
I
didn't want to disparage those two games, but
yeah,
I mean, they're both incredible.
But yeah, I mean, 4, I never played the original, so playing it with the remake, eyes. Like it's absolutely fantastic. It continues my like, oh, I'm so glad that I got into this series now. So
Leon is so cool.
Yeah, Leon is he's cool. And then I love the story too because of being Latino. I like that it's set in kind of like what Spanish speaking country, so that's cool for me too. And just it's Resident Evil 4 is awesome. So it will definitely probably be on our.
Do you think it's going to high kick it to the Game Awards top 6?
I think it will. I think it will.
Think so?
I think it really depends on, is Starfield awesome? And I don't know when their cutoff is. That's the thing that like, is it going to be in October?
I think it's like the first week in November.
Yeah, so like
somewhere around there.
I think it depends on like, is that Super Mario Wonder game going to be absolutely amazing? Like,
oh yeah, it's.
I think that you're going to have some stuff that comes out later be like Forspoken, where you thought it was going to be great and then it winds up not being so great.
What if Keighley just ups it to 10 games like it should be?
I do agree that there should be more.
Yeah.
Even though, yes.
Just for the game of the year. Every other one could be 5 or whatever, 6.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like it should be about honoring the best games, right? And I feel like they don't get to do that enough because they have to like put it into this certain number. And
why was Stray there last year? It's not one of the top.
And then
6
also
games.
That too, like, dude, Stray is not.
It's not a bad video game. Yeah. It's not great. Why is it in the top 6?
Fine. I don't know.
It's capital F fine. That's it.
Even at the time where they were doing the judging, you're gonna tell me that there wasn't another awesome game? I'm sure there was. I just can't.
I can name 15 better games last year than that.
Yeah, it's absolutely it was. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, look, I get it that at some point somebody feels like we always got to have an indie in here, but there's years where
Vampire Survivors. There you go.
Yeah. That's what blew my mind. Like, dude, Vampire Survivors wasn't in here, or
but Stray was.
Yeah, but Stray, for God's sakes,
that's
like,
the one you played.
Sorry. My like one that I'm kind of I don't know if it's gonna wind up making it at the end. But Cassette Beast is another one. It's another one of the only other indies I've played so far. But it is totally freaking. What if Pokemon actually evolved and did something a little bit different with the old Pokemon like Game Boy sort of look? And it has a story with the characters. Like the characters actually kind of matter, and it's not just about your journey with doing the same thing you do in almost every Pokemon game. Like, I love the fusion stuff with the monsters. I love that you can choose all these different side characters to be with, to decide who you want to be your character with. There's romancing in the game, which is so funny to see in like a Pokemon kind of game.
Cool.
Like, I love the art style just because it's like, again, like what Pokemon, if it could evolve in that style. The music is great. Like there's a lot to love in that game. It's on Game Pass. I would go check it out. For sure. And then of course, my top 2 right now, Final Fantasy 16. I'm not totally I'm gonna beat it, I think, tomorrow before I start working. And then I love the way that game is. Like it's just a freaking character action game with Final Fantasy with an awesome freaking main character with a awesome dog, some awesome fights that you do. I love that the summons are such a huge thing in this game. And then, whoever, I'm not spoiling it, like the big bad I think is also kind of cool. So, yeah, man, I like that game a lot. Yeah, it has some faults, but it's not perfect. I don't think it's the next second coming of Christ.
I'd say no game is perfect, though.
Yeah. Like some of the hype for this, I feel like is a little bit, too much. So, and Octopath Traveler 2, is an absolutely fantastic. Just
Is that number one right
ode.
now?
That's number one for me because,
Okay.
but like, it could eventually get replaced. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out this year. But Octopath Traveler 2 is just, like I said, JRPGs are my first love. And it's like just so much better than the first game. All of the characters have awesome stories. Yes, it takes a long time to get through, but damn, it's so worth it. I love the fact that the side quests are just like, hey, here's this. You kind of figure out where you need to go and find the other part of this that makes the side quest happen. And just like how they all had them actually come together is way better than the first game. They have more interactions. It feels like they're a party more than the first game. They're not completely a party still, right? Only in the battles, but they have more interactions outside of battle. They have that, like, I don't know if you've seen anything about the game, but they have some of that Tales, like fireside chat kind of thing sometimes. They even have like some characters, like they have dual stories with some of the characters. Like it's like they took everything in the first game and made it way better. And I love that because I really wanted to love Octopath Traveler 1, and I just couldn't because it felt so disjointed, and all of the stories kind of felt like blah. Like, okay, I've seen this a million times. Like, each one of these characters has heart. Each one is a different kind of story. Like, you have the revenge story from one character. You have like a detective story from a freaking priest. You have like there's just, it's just so cool. I love the fact of how it is, and I just want to give,
it's a series I would like to try.
Yeah, I would definitely, I want to give that studio props for like, they just nail it with every game, and I love that they took everything that worked in Octopath Traveler 1 and then just decided, okay, we're going to take the stuff that didn't work and then we're going to amp it up to what it could be. I don't know if they're going to make a 3 because I don't know how well this sold or whatever. They said that that's not like necessarily a guarantee or whatever, but
I think it sold better on Switch than PlayStation, which is interesting.
I mean, it's a huge, long game. I had to buy it on Switch because like, I have to play this. Like, it's a going to the doctor's office game. It's a something that you play waiting for anything because that's when you're going to play it, because this game is very long. It's like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 last year.
That's another series I'd like to try.
Also, that DLC is freaking amazing. If you played all of the games, that's an honorable mention. I normally don't include DLC when it comes to the end of the year stuff.
It's not really a game.
But this one is like 25 hours. There's a lot of stuff in here. It is an absolute, like, if you have played all the games, you will feel like you earned all of that time playing this DLC. And there's even like odes to some of the other games that are not technically connected to Xenoblade. Because there's other Xeno games, right?
Yeah, Xenogears.
Right, and if they're going to think about remastering Xenogears, they definitely have a reason to, because I think people will eat that up with the way Xenoblade has become such a huge like fan favorite now. Yeah, man. Like, if anybody out there again like didn't listen to it when I talked about it, listen to the podcast originally. Like, go play that. If you have played the other games, it is so worth the money and everything else. It's so awesome. So yeah, that's my like top ones. As far as like stuff I kind of want to play, I played Ishin. It kind of didn't jive with me. I'm gonna try to go through more, but I'm also more excited for the Man Who Erased His Name. Kind of thing too.
My boy Kiri is coming back.
So yeah, because I love 7, so I want to know what his part in that is. Is it going to be kind of like Yuffie with Final Fantasy VII remake. Where
Did you play 6?
no, I didn't play. I only played 0 and like some of Kiwami and then 7.
Okay.
So like I haven't played like all the games or whatever.
So is there something? Can I spoil a little bit of 6 to kind of give you?
I guess. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, it goes kind of into the title of what the
okay,
the man who
go
erased
ahead.
his name. There's a reason why that is the name of the title. Like this is an in-between game. In between, this is what Kiryu was doing from in between 6 and 7, and when you meet him back in 7, there's a reason why in 7 when he doesn't really tell you his name. He doesn't really go by Kiryu or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's because at the end of 6, he makes a deal to keep Haruka kind of away from everything. He is supposed to be dead. So he basically kills his name and just goes away. So that's why in the trailer for Like a Dragon Gaiden, he's kind of just sitting there at this temple or whatever he's at. He's supposed to kind of just be gone. So whatever in this game is going to be is going to spark my boy Kiryu to come back. And we don't know what that is really.
Okay, I'll definitely have to watch like I guess like story video or whatever before I play this.
Yeah, a little wrap up. Yeah.
But like I'm kind of thinking that maybe this is going to be like Final Fantasy VII with Yuffie, where you're going to have stuff playing out with Kiryu, and then you're going to see Ichiban in the party at various points.
I don't think
so. But
I think it's going to be just him.
Oh, you think it's just going to be him?
Yeah, because I think that this is going to be in a different area. My question would be, is anyone else from his crew going to show up? And not necessarily Ichiban's. Like, is Majima and Saejima...
well, I would think so, because Majima shows up in...
Yeah, he is in 7.
Yeah, so
I think Saejima. Daigao's there too. Yeah, I wonder if any of those 3 guys are going to show up, would be my question. Because in the trailer, there's none of them. It's just Kiryu.
Oh, but that's the best part, is like surprise us when they do show up.
Yeah.
Even if it's like in a silly side quest or whatever. Which that's what something I love about that series, is how serious but yet unserious it takes the side quest.
It's like the main story's super serious. Super serious.
And then you have the stupidest fucking side quest. Like, come on. Insane. And then the freaking mini game that they had in 7 with the business thing. Yes. I got addicted to that.
Yes.
That was so good.
It's a crazy mini game.
And you could completely break the game with it, because you'd make so much money that it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I'm hoping that the man who erased his name is going to be awesome. One that I love the demo, that I don't know if I'll buy it, but actually Bayonetta Origins is actually pretty underrated. I really like it's different. It's it plays kind of like, I don't know if you've ever played Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
Oh yeah, great game.
Where you use one thumbstick to control Cereza, and then the other one controls the little monster guy. And then you solve the puzzles that way. Like, oh, if she can't go any further, you got to figure out what you have to do with the monster to get, to the next point. And then how they can play with each other when you get to the boss battles is really fun. Like, so that's one I got on my radar to see if I can go back and play before the year is up. And then I've heard so much about Dredge as well that I want to kind of check that out. I'm hoping it maybe will come to Game Pass.
It seems like a cool game.
Yeah, like survival horror fishing. I'm so down for that. And I'm surprised you haven't played Wulong. If you
I know there was some. I forget what I was playing at the time. It might have been Ishin actually. I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, because that came out like a couple weeks before that.
Yeah, it was
after that.
Very close. I've thought about popping in because it is on Game Pass, but yeah. I've never been a big Team Ninja fan. Like, I didn't play really any of the Neo games or the original, or like the Xbox era Ninja Gaiden games. But Wolong seems cool. Like, it's kind of there. I kind of want to check it out.
I've heard it's like a lot like Sekiro.
Yeah, I'd rather just play Sekiro. You know,
right? Yeah.
I still need to play.
One I will shout out because I don't the only one something that I've played a lot of this year. It won't be on my list at all because I think it's awesome because I love One Piece. Like One Piece Odyssey is great if you love One Piece. But it's a very basic RPG. And it never really gets hard. But it's awesome because it's probably the best One Piece game that there's ever been, outside of the Musu stuff. But like, I love the fact that it shows its love for the series and everything. The only like redeeming thing that I got out of the whole combat is the fact that you can like switch through the characters whenever you want. So you basically decide the turn order. And I keep doing it when I play other turn-based games. I keep pressing the button thinking I'm gonna
let me do this.
Yeah. But no, like I think if you like One Piece, it's a cool game, but it's definitely one of those I would wait till there's a sale. It's not and there's also like a DLC thing for it too that has like an extra story that I'm sort of playing through right now. After I get through 16, I'll probably finish that up. But yeah.
Can I give one more shout out?
Sure, go ahead.
So I can't say too much about the game because it would spoil the game. So there's a game. It's free to play. It is on Steam. I don't think it's anywhere else. It probably wouldn't be. It's called Pineapple on Pizza. It's a funny name. It will only take you about 10-15 minutes to beat the game.
All right.
So no commitment, really.
Does it have anything to do with pineapple on pizza?
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything about the game.
Okay.
But yeah, it's called Pineapple on Pizza. It's a really short experience, little indie game. It's got a really catchy song to it. I don't want to spoil anything, of course. It's very short, so I can't say anything. It's first person.
Okay, I'll definitely have to try this out then.
Yeah.
Number one, because I'm a big fan of pineapple on pizza, but you know,
check it out. It'd take, like I said, 10-15 minutes. No time at all.
I'll definitely
no time at all. It's free. It's a free game on Steam.
Awesome. So anything that you feel like you've totally missed, you got to play before the end of the year?
Ooh, good question. One that I really wanted to check out, and there was no time. Actually, two. There was just no time. Chia is one I still kind of want to check out, and Humanity is the other one. Those are the two that I kind of missed, and I kind of want to check out still.
Yeah, I got kind of lost with you. I played Humanity a little bit, and I thought it was actually pretty fun. It's just I'm not the greatest with like puzzle games, so It took me a bit to kind of like, okay, so you got to like guide the people, but once I got it, I thought it was pretty fun. Like I thought it was actually pretty good, and it's on PS Plus, so
yeah,
you know.
I think aren't both? Isn't Chia also on PS Plus?
Chia, yeah. I played a little bit of Chia. I like the world and the fact that it's like based on like Polynesian stuff and all that. You know, it's that same thing with like Breath of the Wild where me having to figure this out kind of thing. It wasn't vibing too much with me, but I liked the ambiance of it, what it's based on and all that stuff. Like I think that it definitely deserves the props it's been getting for that. Anything that like you're really looking forward to for the rest of the 2023?
Okay. So Armored Core, I guess, would be the next big game I want to play. Starfield. Both Spider-Man and Super Mario Wonder the same day, which is
ridiculous.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, you're getting out of here. I'm sorry. I played 2 Spider-Man games already. I'm playing Mario first. So I guess those 4, unless I'm missing anything. I guess the new Call of Duty, I always play the single player. Whenever it gets announced, hopefully within this next week.
That's what I do like about the fact that it's going to be on Game Pass, because I do like playing the single player Call of Duty. I will not play the multiplayer at all, but I love.
I used to a lot, but not in a long time. Yeah, that might be the big 5. I can't really think. I might be missing something, but those for sure.
I'm actually looking forward to a game that's coming out tomorrow, Oxenfree 2.
I forgot about Oxenfree 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be on Netflix as well. So if you don't want to, I guess, buy it on your console, you can play it on Netflix. It's still weird that it's not going to be on Xbox.
I don't get it.
That's probably a shot at Netflix
xCloud.
and Microsoft don't like each other. I think in Netflix and Microsoft, it's like the whole rivalry of they're kind of competing with each other kind of thing. So Netflix is also a service, so they don't want people thinking that it should be on the Game Pass as well, because it's weird because Oxenfree 1 was one of those games that like really was associated with Xbox for a while.
And their second game was also on Game Pass.
Yeah, the After Party.
Yep.
Yeah, I like After Party a lot too. Yeah, so it's weird. It's weird that like I feel like that's almost a shot at them for some reason.
It's because of the xCloud stuff. Like it's like they're trying to do things. They're trying to get more into gaming, and they're looking over here, and Xbox is trying to do cloud stuff. They're like, hey, we're going to compete a little bit.
No, yeah, for sure. on that part, another one that like I'm gonna get to play the demo, but WrestleQuest is one that so I don't watch wrestling that much anymore, but when I was like a kid, all the way to I want to say actually the whole reason I'm doing a podcast right now about video games is because for the first, I want to say 6 years of podcasting, I did the games one while I was doing it, but the reason I started podcasting was because we had a wrestling podcast called Wrestling to the Max. Then this became like a brand thing where everything had to have the To the Max name on it. This is the only one that exists now. The other ones have all died. But I was a huge wrestling fan growing up until I got absolutely burnt out because our wrestling show got so big that we were reviewing like every freaking wrestling thing that there was before AEW even existed. And I got burnt out to the point where I just hated wrestling for like a long time. So I've kind of started sort of watching it again now that like WWE's like Triple H is in charge and it's actually like good and it's not like Vince destroying everything that exists.
Isn't he supposed to be like putting his nose back in there?
He does it every now and then because I still follow some of they call it the dirt sheets, the writers. So like I'll see news stuff every now and then on my Twitter feed. He tries, but I think he's mostly like tries to stay out of the shadows because he's kind of lucky that he got the position that he's got from that Endeavor sale. And I think he's kind of trying to like not mess that up right now. Okay. But yeah, he does kind of stick his nose in sometimes and like rewrite shows, and it's weird. And but not trying to get on that tangent. But I love the like old wrestlers from like the 80s and 90s, right? I used to love the Legends of Wrestling games too, which also feature a lot of those same characters. And this is going to have like Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake Roberts and all that, and like it's a RPG with wrestling, so it's like kind of cool.
Two things you love.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, exactly. You like tore at my heartstrings there. I had to totally buy it. Sea of Stars is another one that's like a total.
I'd like to check it out. Yeah.
I'm actually sort of interested in like Goodbye Volcano High as well, just because I do like those.
I need
like,
to see more.
Yeah, I kind of want to see what it is, but I also do think it's like they've kind of told you it's sort of like rhythm game with narrative stuff. So yeah, I'm going in expecting that. And if that's what it is, then cool, I don't know about like, so that my thing with Starfield is that Western RPGs have always had this thing with me where like I try and it doesn't vibe with me. I don't know if it's just because, and I don't really watch that much anime, to be honest. I just don't know. I think it's because I grew up with it's always been Japanese RPGs, so the Western RPG has a lot of the same stuff, but it also has things that's different, and it just doesn't. It never winds up like having me keep playing the game. There's a certain point where I get to, and I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna play something else. But the fact that, like, I have Fallouts that I got to a certain point, I just never kept playing. I tried Skyrim, same thing happened, right? So, like, the fact that Starfield's on Game Pass and you get to do all this cool stuff in that game.
You can build your own ship.
Yeah,
That's
you
so
can
cool.
build your own ship. You can go to all these different planets. It does have shooting, which I do like. So, yeah. I'm gonna give it a try and hoping it winds up like surprising me and being a game that I'm super excited about. But that's one of the cool things about Game Pass. I don't have to like.
Yeah, it's right there. You're already paying for the service. You got it.
And Mortal Kombat also.
I forgot about Mortal Kombat. I knew I'd forget about. Of course, I gotta play Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat 1, like, dude.
Yes.
I don't care. Like, again, I'm not a big fighting game head, but the stories in these games are just so preposterous. They're like, have to see awesome. Them through. Like,
I love 9, 10, and 11's story. That like nice build up there. Yeah. I can't wait to see what this is gonna be.
This is like, I love the fact that like almost all the different characters like doing different things now. Or like
Scorpion and Sub-Zero brothers.
Like, what? Come on, man. Yeah, like, dude. It's just one of those things. Like, when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this. I don't know what play fighting is, but this is like too cool. I gotta do it. Alan Wake 2 is also a huge. Like, I'm a big.
You keep naming games fan. I forgot.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 looks so up my alley because it's more survival horror this time. I love the fact that you play with the two characters and like how they're gonna involve all that with like Sam Lake and everything. Like, it's gonna be so good.
Of course, he had to be a character. I love that he is the partner. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big game that I'm hoping it really delivers because I really want like Remedy. I loved Control the year that it came out. But I feel like Alan Wake's so weird because like people think that Alan Wake is like this huge franchise and it's not. Or they make it seem like it's bigger than it actually is, you know? So I kind of would like to see like Alan Wake 2 finally push it to where Remedy has. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Alan Wake was more of like it was a cool 360 exclusive at the time.
Yeah,
it wasn't like big. It was just a cool, weird exclusive.
But they tried to like, so they tied like Control to it, sort of, right? And then like now you get this game, and they kind of. I wasn't that big of. I liked a lot of Max Payne 3. But
I love Max Payne.
Yeah, but like, you know, obviously the first and second game are kind of more my jam. So
sure,
I hopefully Remedy can get another big hit with this game as well. So, and obviously Super Mario RPG, getting to play that game.
That's gonna be on the back burner, but I do want to play it. I've never played it. This is a great way to do it. That's just going to be a game. Like, I have Metroid Prime Remastered. Still haven't played it. I own it. It's going to be the same thing. It's just going to sit there until I can get to it.
No, but I'm like you. I'm waiting for Wonder because that's going to be. I love the 2D Mario. That's going to be freaking awesome. Yep. I can't wait. I'm also like you. I love Spider-Man, but that's going to be waiting.
I'm sorry. I played 2 Spider-Man games already. I'm playing Wonder.
Yeah. Like. Dude, he turns into an elephant. I mean, I want to know why.
He's like mushrooms. He gets really tall for some reason.
Mushrooms dance, like the flowers are dancing and stuff. Like, so I want to know why all that stuff's happening. Like, definitely, definitely that's going to be one that I'm going to be saying. And then actually, I'm sort of interested in the Persona 5 Tactica.
Well. It's going to be a Game Pass, which is cool.
Yeah.
I need to see more about it. You know, I think they kind of run in Persona 5 in the ground just a bit.
I'm really hoping this is kind of it with the Persona 5.
It seems cool. I don't need it, but it seems cool.
with like the new game that's coming, the Metaphor Fantasio,
That seems awesome.
and then which that looks freaking amazing, and then obviously the Persona 3 remake or whatever. Like, hopefully this kind of like lets them put the Persona 5 to rest, and we can kind of just move on and
Or
eventually
6.
get Persona 6. Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna try to remake 4 at some point.
They did already.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it's all going to depend on how well 3 does. It might push them. Of course, all the people that are fans of Persona 2 and 1 are sitting there like, hello, where's my game at?
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many freaking games. I haven't even mentioned.
There's too many. You keep naming the games.
I can't like there's indie games that look good.
Liza P seems
Liza P, like what should we call it? Assassin's Creed Mirage. Still haven't mentioned that. Like going back to the old Assassin's Creed.
Cool. Thirsty Suitors. For indies?
Yes, Thirsty Suitors. Totally freaking waiting for that game to come out. Love that it's coming on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, there's just too many freaking games this year. As somebody that's a big fan of the arcade sports games, I'm excited for the Wild Card Football, even though that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I still need to hear more about this
because it looks like NFL Street, but without the NFL license. But you still get the players.
Big back, EA. How about that? Where's my NBA Street Volume? Give me new NBA Street.
NBA Street Volume 2 is still one of the best games.
It's one of the greatest games of all time.
Oh,
probably the greatest sports game of all time. There's not
that game is freaking amazing. Also, Enter Knights looks really cool as well.
Yeah, it's that weird Persona looking game, right?
That's the Persona looking game that has dating sim stuff.
Yeah,
like, in the middle of the freaking battle, they're sitting there having I'm like, what is going on?
Just chill out.
There's a demo on Steam as well. I'm not sure if it's like still there because it was part of Next Fest.
Oh, I didn't know there was a demo.
If you ever get a chance, you can play the demo there on Steam. And then Baldur's Gate 3, we haven't even talked about that. You can apparently have sex with bears in this game.
Sure. I think it's a druid technically that is a bear or whatever. But yeah, crazy. I need a better PC2 game to like do some other things. Like I would like to trial the demos in Next Fest, but my PC couldn't do anything. I just have a basic PC.
My laptop's kind of weird. Like it has its moments where it will want to play stuff, and then there's times where I can play anything that's like 2D, like I played Chain Echoes on it and stuff like that. But when it gets to 3D, it starts like freaking out for some reason. Even though it's supposed to be able to run the game, it like has a problem. And then this one, it's like a gaming. It's like one of those ROG laptops.
Okay,
and
sure. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a gaming laptop, so it has like a different NVIDIA chip that you're supposed to like tell it to turn on when you're playing a game, and I think that thing like messes up the whole system, and I don't know, but there's sometimes where a 3D game will work fine, and then sometimes where I can't get it to do jack, and so a lot of times I don't I'm like, I wish the ROG Ally wasn't like $700 because I would so buy that thing.
Yeah, I've been curious about the Steam Deck. That seems like a fun handheld. I'm just not a big handheld person anymore. As a kid, I was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I love my Switch. Like, I play my Switch.
Yeah,
if I could get an indie game on my Switch, I will buy it.
I'm the opposite. If I could get it anywhere else, no Switch, please.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's fair. Hey,
I like the Switch Pro controller a lot because I play my Switch docked most of the time.
Okay, okay, yeah.
I like my Pro controller.
The Pro controller is so freaking comfortable.
The only problem is the triggers.
Yeah.
I don't like the triggers on them, but I love the stick placement, the buttons.
Yeah, because you have those different trigger. They feel more like triggers with the Xbox and the PS5.
Xbox has the best triggers.
Yes.
PlayStation's triggers suck. Like,
I hate the haptic thing on the.
Okay, I don't play with vibration. Haptics, no. I don't want any of that. Can I say, I'll be more controversial. The DualSense sucks. It's not a good controller. I think anybody that thinks it is crazy because it has no battery life. I don't like the stick placement still. I think that symmetrical sticks is uncomfortable. I think the buttons are okay. They're a little glossy.
Yeah.
I think the best part of it is the D-pad. It's a pretty good D-pad. But other
Mhm.
than that, like, I don't know, the DualSense is not a great controller.
No,
It's
no, I
better than the
definitely
DualShock
think
4.
yeah,
DualShock
but I
4
mean
was awful.
that's not saying a whole lot.
No.
No, I'm definitely with you. The Xbox controllers are better. Like,
Yeah.
that's also why Xbox knows that they have good controllers, and they basically allow you to have your own collection of controllers, and you can make your controllers, and which that's one of the coolest things that Xbox ever
Yeah,
did was the
Design Lab is
design
so
lab. Yeah. Um, I agree with you completely. I love the series controller. The series controller is so comfortable. I love holding it. So I agree with you there. Ah, yes. I
good.
want
Have
the
the
20th
Halo.
anniversary controller so bad. You have it, I bet, huh?
I have it right here.
Yes, that's so cool. I gotta find that
Very,
thing
very cool. Very, very cool.
somewhere. I love
Yeah.
that. I love the. It takes me back to the. I always
Perfect.
had that purple Atomic 64 controller
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I like it
So
has
it
even the
takes me
nice
back to
green.
those. Yeah.
Nice green there.
All right. Well, man, we talked a lot. I did not think we were going to be doing this for 3 hours. But
Told you.
also, man, we had the breaking news with the FTC thing that wasn't in the plan, so that took an extra 30
Threw
minutes
us a
there.
curveball.
So, man, this was so much fun. Thank you so much. I always end the show with what's coming out this week, just because I always love to highlight what's new. And I definitely think that sometimes we focus too much on like, yo, our backlog. Who gives a fuck about the backlog? You're never gonna finish that thing anyway. Just just look at I do appreciate what Tucker does, where he's trying and he goes back and plays older, the older games in series
Tucker's
like
got a lot more
Remastered.
time than we do.
Yes, yes. But no, definitely I think we should always kind of and also like lets you highlight things that are like not on everybody's radar too
Yeah,
sometimes, which I
definitely.
appreciate. Because hey, you know what? Game dev is hard, and game devs should be more appreciated than I
Yes,
think
they should.
they are. So, a cool indie game that came out. Oh my god, I can't think about when exactly it came out. Rain World. It's
Ooh,
getting DLC.
that was like 2017 or something, 2018.
Yes. It's actually a really good indie game. People should try it out. You play as this like white raccoon looking thing and go through the sewers, and there's like a toxic like wasteland thing that kind of happened to where you live, and you kind of have to figure it out. So this is DLC for that game. I already talked about Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals. That's coming out basically right now as you're listening to it. You can, again, if you subscribe to Netflix, you can go play it on I think you can't play it on your TV, but you can play it on your phone. I wonder if Netflix is ever going to come out with either allow you to Bluetooth controls you already own, or they're going to come out with their own controller that you can eventually
It's got
play
to be
on
a solution.
TV.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't like to me. I don't mind playing things on my phone, but I'd rather not. Um, for you to get the most out of that subscription, especially if you want to compete with Game Pass and XCloud or whatever, I think you eventually need to come out with something. With as much as you're charging for your freaking uh, monthly fee, come out with something that allows me to play those games that you're putting on your service on my TV. I don't know if then that would be a problem with legal, or they have to redo the contracts or whatever if they did. But
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I hope that they figure that out at some point. But I'm really excited for this game. I love the first one, so happy to see that this one's already coming out. There's a squad-based RTS Valiant that's also coming out right now. It's already out on PC, but it's coming to consoles. So you like RTS games, you can definitely go check that out. The Ulterior Marie remake, which I think is the first Ulterior game of the ones
Yeah.
that
Never played those.
I played, the ones on PS2 that were more like RPGs. When they got into the super like, oh, you're an actual crafting person and all that stuff, for a while I stopped playing them, but then recently with like the Ryza games or whatever, they kind of put it more towards the story and included that stuff. So I played the first one and that's pretty good. This is one of those that like maybe if it goes on sale, I will think about it. Not sure though. And then Gravity Circuit, which is like looks like a Mega Man and Metroid crossover 2D platformer, comes out on the 13th, and then it's also on Game Pass. You can go play this with your friends. Exo Primal.
Oh yeah,
everybody wants Dino Crisis, but we're gonna get this game instead.
This game seems cool. I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
I played the beta some, and it was fun. I'm interested to see how much, how good the single player part of it is going to be.
How much content's there?
Yeah, exactly. And then, if I can get people to play with, being on Game Pass,
it helps.
Yes, exactly. So that's cool. Like you said, Capcom has been. I still need to play Ghost Trick. That came out like
I haven't downloaded.
I was waiting to clear some of the games so I could justify buying it and then not, because that's the problem, right? You'll buy something, then something else that you already knew you wanted to play comes out, and then it's
every time.
I bought this game and I never touched it. Awesome, that's just what I need.
But it's always there, though.
Yes, exactly. My problem is, when will I get to it? But since it did come out this year, and it came out on the DS, it's a remaster, so it wouldn't count as part of the, Game of the Year stuff. But still worth checking out. So yeah, that's it for the show this week. Good Lord, we went a long time, but this was so much fun. Thank you so much, Dan, for being on.
Of course.
Gonna have to get Connor and Sims on at some point here. But you want to do any kind of promoting for Nerdic Gods before we get out of here?
Just check us out, youtube.com/Nerdic Gods. Our Twitter, same thing, Nerdic Gods. We do a weekly podcast. Haven't missed a week over 3 years. We don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Well, hopefully y'all can continue to be in it consistent like that. Definitely, it's a really good show. Whether it's just Daniel and Connor or all three of you guys, y'all do a terrific job over there doing similar to this show. Y'all cover gaming news and what you're playing and talk about some topics. I love the fact that y'all just kind of start with some random thing that I was talking about.
That's what you get with me and Connor.
Y'all just hit record and y'all were talking about that. I'm what the hell is going on? But it's fun. So yeah, definitely go check them out for sure. And we'll be here next week. Mark is going to be returning from his ankle surgery. I'm definitely going to try to keep doing this as well, where I have a different person on. Because this is fun. I love I love video games, and getting to talk to other people about them is cool. You get to learn something about you, and then everybody has different tastes. So I love that, just knowing more of what we do here, So I had Tucker on way back in the day. I have to have him on again at some point. So, Daniel, thank you again. And see you later, everybody. Make sure you subscribe, follow both the YouTube channels. Go check us out on podcasts. And see you next week. Bye.